Now, that's what I call talent.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, November 7th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1188.
This is No Agenda.
Sitting at the center of the world and broadcasting live just off runway 27 at Schiphol Airport in the capital of Gitmo Nation Lowlands. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're fogged in, and it's going to be kind of chilly. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Hey, John.
Fogged in.
45 degrees, Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam. Rainy, gray skies, and it's nighttime. And
They said it was nice.
No, I didn't say that. I said it's horrible. It's gray.
She said it was nice.
When did I say that?
When I first hooked up
you said what's the weather?
A minute ago.
Yeah, you said what's the
for
weather?
The show.
And I said gray, and you heard nice.
Oh, I thought you said great.
This certainly wasn't nice.
No, you said great.
I said gray.
Well, you left out the T. You dropped your T like a millennial, and I just thought you said meant great.
That's on the schedule to be
gray.
discussed.
Gray.
We will be discussing that on the show today.
It's gray.
It's gray. However, for a brief moment yesterday, Schiphol, my temporary home, was the center of the universe.
That news got over here.
What?
That news got over here.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally timing my clips, and you just jumped right in. I'll try again so we can edit it later. We were the center of the universe.
Good evening. The world held its breath for hours late today after word of a possible airplane hijack drama unfolding in Amsterdam. A signal mistakenly transmitted from the cockpit of a Madrid-bound airplane indicating a hijack was in progress triggered a full-on military and police response and reminded us all that when it comes to aviation security, there is no taking chances. Kelly Kobiea starts us off.
At one of the busiest airports in the world tonight, a major security scare. Planes stranded at gates after Dutch police got a hijacking alert from the cockpit of a plane that hadn't taken off. Flights delayed, parts of the airport closed. Nearly 2 hours later, it was over. The airline, Air Europa, explaining on Twitter, the alert was activated by mistake. Nothing has happened. All passengers are safe and sound. 50 million travelers fly through Amsterdam Schiphol Airport every year. Last New Year's Eve, passengers were evacuated after a man claimed to have a bomb. Police arrested a 51-year-old Canadian, but found no explosives. Tonight, Dutch military police tell us they're still investigating what sparked today's hijacking alarm. Lester?
All right, Kelly Kobiea with those anxious moments. Thank you.
Oh, yes, very anxious moments. I was not in the hotel. I was at Christina's house in Rotterdam, but Taxi Eric was here because he's always driving people to and from the airport. He said he had never seen so many blue lights in all the years he's worked near the airport. He says it was completely filled. It was a mess. And everybody wanted to know what was happening. There were reports that there were stabbings and there were the craziest thing. No one knew anything. And quite honestly, I was sitting with Christina and Shenta. We're smoking dope. We're like, whatever, we'll figure it out later. But Eric was texting me updates. People are sending me emails like, you okay? That's always interesting how that goes.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate it. It's nice that people think of me in that way. We got a little bit of information within an hour or so on CNN. I'll play a bit of this.
Air Europa says an emergency involving one of its planes at Schiphol, Amsterdam, is a false alarm. A spokesperson for the Dutch military says passengers and crew are safely off the plane after what it's called a suspicious situation on board an aircraft. Emergency services had flocked to the airport and there was a major incident underway. Now, Nick Robertson is following this in London. And Nick, I shall give you the delight and joy of telling us what Air Europa says was the reason why.
Air Europa says that it was a mistake on board the aircraft, that the warning that it was triggered by mistake. A warning was triggered by mistake.
Okay, at this point, that's where I'm tuning out. I'm like, okay, they have no idea what they're talking about. So I do know what happened. And it's an odd one, and it's stupid, but also odd. On every aircraft, that flies, certainly commercial, you have a transponder. And the transponder is a little box that has 4 digits on it. It's very simple. And the transponder, you're asked to set a code in there, and that's what then the radar can read that and identify you by the code they just gave you. So my plane would be, 8529. And
that's when you see on the radar, you see the numbers.
Yes, flight radar, exactly. And the box also broadcasts position, it broadcasts airspeed, altitude, etc. This box, the way you activate it is there's really there are 2 models kind of, and one is you'll set each number when just tapping up or down, literally like an up or down button, and then you press another button and it's activated. There's the newer models, I would say, or just different models, you really only have to type in the 4 digits, and then when you hit the 4th one, it starts to broadcast with that code. There are a couple of special codes. One is 7000, which is used pretty much universally around the world. There's a lot of people just flying under visual flight rules, so Cessnas and stuff like that. And so as long as they can see that there's a lot of 7000s and keep them away from each other, then everything's good. So you don't really need to know specifics about those aircraft. But we also have 7700, which is an emergency. So, shit's going down, you hit 7700 as soon as you're calling on the radio. 7600 is if you can't communicate with your radio. It doesn't necessarily mean you have an emergency, but then they can say, okay, they have a radio problem. 7500 is hijack. So the story that I got locally was the captain of Air Europa was showing an intern stuff in the cockpit, which just sounds really sketchy. So I can just imagine the guy, Captain Air Europa here. Let me just show you. You press in, look, if there's an emergency hijack, I'll show you what we do, baby. We just hit 7500. And he did that, and it started broadcasting 7500. So that shows up on the radar, and there's just, there's no calling down to say, hey, everything okay on that hijack? No, there's none of that. It's immediate. They go to, we learned a new code here in Holland, GRISP 3. I'd never heard of this. It's like a DEFCON 3 or something for Dutch style. And they call out everybody. And so it was purely just a captain showing off to some intern.
Well, I think for the writers out there,
here we go.
You punch that code in by accident with this cock and bull story, and then after about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and all the cops are headed your way, you rob a bank.
Exactly. I should have checked the news for anything else going on.
Banks were robbed.
But it is strange. I did talk to a journalist here who I know this morning, and he said, it's really odd, Adam, though, because we got very credible reports from people who really know what's going on at the airport that there were 3 people arrested for some stabbing. He says, we can't get there's no confirmation or denial. So I'll just leave that for what it is. But, that's like 2 sources removed.
Maybe this is a cover-up for the stabbings.
It could be. I mean, it's easy enough. Anybody can go in and, talk to the captain and say, look, we're punching these numbers in. You're just going to shut up about it. But anyway, that was it. So it was apparent. It was odd how it spread so quickly. Stuff happens all over the world all the time.
Well, I don't remember the world holding its breath for 2 hours.
In Europe, they did.
As Lester Holt had it.
In Europe, they held their breath. They broke into the news. They immediately stopped game shows. It was great. Like, oh, we got something.
We finally have something besides impeach Trump news.
Well, and I have a little report of what's going on. I've been paying attention. Maybe I should first say that I'm over here celebrating 100 years of radio in the Netherlands, which they celebrated quite big. I mean, every station had some tribute or something going on, and it was the public broadcaster who I originally worked for way back in the day who flew me in to be a part of this one show. And I basically spent time hanging out with some of these older DJs. They're in their 70s. I figured, I'll hang out with them for a bit, and then maybe when I'm an old geezer, maybe someone will come visit me. So it was, kind of nice to reconnect. But I had a lot of time also to watch multiple news channels. And I have to tell you, there is not a lot of Trump news in the EU right now. It's as if it just doesn't matter. And it probably doesn't. They have so much going on here with climate crisis. That's the top news, which, of course, we hear almost nothing about in the U.S.
Well, not to the extreme of Extinction Rebellion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Extinction Rebellion. There is a lot that they're talking about here. Couple things. So we'll get to climate crisis in a moment. The Dutch schools. Now, this is a socialist country. It's a democracy with a monarchy, and they're socialist. It's a fantastic combination. The result is that it's really nothing works. And
that's the big three.
It really is. And I was watching a talk show last night, and the teachers are rarely satisfied, but they are. There's a shortage right now of 6,600 teachers. People just don't want to go into the profession anymore. And when you heard these teachers talking about what the profession is these days, can't blame people. And I'd made a note of this a couple of weeks ago when a friend of mine was in town. His daughter, who was also a teacher, she was telling me some of this, but it was nice to see the talk show. These schools are like computerized zombie factories. The teachers have to keep profiles of every student and have to make sure that, they have to check boxes all day long if the student is paying attention or not paying attention. They say there's so much work that they have to do administratively just to make sure the kids are okay. And of course, there's kids who are slower at learning are forced to be in the same classroom as the kids who are on a normal curriculum. And so teachers have to split their time. It's a mess. It's trying to make everybody happy at the same time, and all this spying basically on the kids. It's very odd. So they're going to go on strike. They can't do it anymore. They have classes of 50 kids. And that's a lot.
So there's no teaching involved in the profession anymore.
No. The teaching, and this is the complaint. It's like they're really relegated to data input as they observe these children, because the testing is all comes from the computer. They're doing all the score, everything's done through the computer. The curriculum is from the computer. They can't really deviate from the curriculum. And, they say, well, I have ideas about how I want to teach kids about a certain subject. It's like, no, you got to follow. It's basically like Common Core Plus.
Wow.
It's really bad. So healthcare, which, as you know, is kind of a version of Obamacare here, where everything is socialized. It is a giant Medicare, but you still get your insurance for very cheaply. I think it's 135 euros for per person. So really quite cheap on a monthly basis.
Per person per what?
Per month. Per person per month.
It's over 100 euros a month?
Yes.
So it's $1,200 per person per
year.
Per year,
yes.
Or 1,200 euros per year?
Yeah.
That's not cheap. It doesn't sound like socialized medicine to me.
It sounds like 10% of what I pay.
Well, not the fact that you're getting ripped off.
Okay, but it is socialized at where, and this is what they're running into. So first of all, doctors are leaving. I think we've talked about this, because in order to have all doctors working and make it all fair, or whatever the hell it is, everybody works 32 hours a week. So, but you get paid for 32 hours a week. So, people, it's not enough. It's not enough to get by. And now, because they buy all the medication centrally, there's a shortage of medicine. There's like a pipeline problem. We never want to order too much in advance. We were negotiating on the contract, and people can't get really simple things like Lipitor and the other the specifically mentioned blood pressure medication. Just really normal stuff over the counter is backlogged, and people can't get it. And they go to the apothecary, and it's like, no, sorry, you come back. There's no generics, no brand names, nothing. And something else people never think about when the government runs it. What happens if a glitch occurs in their supply chain?
It sounds like, well, I think some governments could probably do a better job.
Well, for sure, the Dutch could. It's just when you think of the Dutch, you don't think of these types of problems. And it's kind of eye-opening. I guess the Dutch, in a way, to most countries outside of Europe, to Americans, certainly kind of back up Scandinavians. They look a bit like them. So you don't expect that. Let's see what else. Oh, yes.
I wouldn't expect it.
No. So then we get into, this country just has problem after problem. So the farmers, I took great pains to understand the issues. And everyone has a slightly different explanation. But I can give you the short version first, which is the farmers were told to do everything a certain way. A lot of them are only making hay, and literally just hay. So it's just grass, and they can't really. They've just been making hay on it for so long that there's not much left to build. You have to. The whole soil is just poor. And they've been doing that for 5 or 10 years, and then all of a sudden the government turned around and said, "Well, now we're changing the rules, and you've produced too much. Now you have to cut everything back by 50%." So that's why that's the basis of them being so pissed off. It's like, hey, you told us what to do, and then you turn around and now you're going to chop everything in half, and that's literally their business gets chopped in half according to the CO2 numbers that they are or not allowed to be producing. Some of the details of that is the way they've measured the CO2, if at all. But lots of farmlands in the Netherlands, you've driven through the country, highways go right through it. So there's a lot of CO2 around these areas because of the highway, not because of the land use. So there's that argument. And then the construction sector, and this is like, it's as if someone in Holland in the government wants to bring the country into recession. They came up with this crazy number of PFAS. Now, PFAS, PFAS, I guess is what we would call hydrofluoride, hydrocarbons, fluoride, carbofluoride, something like that.
It's a flugus.
That's a flugus. It's like the what's Teflon? What's Teflon made of?
It's now that you mention it,
flugus.
We'll get back to it. Yeah. I'll look it up while you're talking.
It's made of flugus. So, so that's in the ground everywhere. Yeah, because the Netherlands, it's industrial waste. In America, when we have industrial waste, we're much smarter about it. We buy it from the factories, and then we turn it into pure fluoride and slap it into our drinking water. In Holland, they don't do that. They just put it into the water.
Teflon is polytetrafluoroethylene.
Yeah, some of that stuff.
PTFE, I guess.
Yeah.
So, PTFE.
So I think normally like 100 micrograms per kilogram is acceptable, and that's pretty much what Germany has. I think that's the number. I know that the difference is in scale, that now the Dutch government said, you really can't do anything if there's 0.1 microgram per kilogram in the ground, and if there is, you can't go digging in it. But apparently there's 0.1 microgram of this stuff everywhere, and so that has halted construction, halted all these permits, and so they're now talking about special payments for people who are out of a job because of this decision they've made. And
this sounds whack.
Well, the only way I can explain it is with climate change. First of all, it's the only thing you hear about on pretty much what you're hearing about continuously throughout the day.
And well, they've sure taken the concept of climate crisis seriously.
Well, here's the thing. Ever since the European Union really came to being as an institution that runs the show, the Dutch political class, and I'm sure it's the same for the Germans and the French, etc., they now no longer have this ceiling. You could get to be prime minister, and then what else? Now everybody, they all want to be in Europe. That's where the real power is, and so you could see how they're all lobbying. Remember our guy Frans Timmermans? He was trying to become the new Starfleet commander, and that's they all want to jump off of that springboard of Dutch politics into Europe so they can be the boss there. And so for this reason, they're making all these really, climate conscious decisions, but they're going overboard. For instance, I didn't even realize it, but you cannot operate as a taxi at Schiphol unless you're a battery car. That's why there's all these Teslas. I didn't realize that has been in effect for almost 2 years. So if you have just a regular taxi and it's not electric, you can't even park there and pick up customers. That's one.
Can you drop people off?
Yes, you can drop people off, but that'll be forbidden too. I mean, already in parts.
It's a foregone conclusion.
Oh, yeah, already in parts of Amsterdam, you drive into the city and it says if you have a diesel older than 2009, you're not allowed in. So, and of course, they scan you and they'll get you immediately if you do it. They are lowering. Well, it's not done yet, but because of this crisis, all of a sudden, which really didn't seem to exist, except they made up some new numbers and it became a crisis. They're now talking about lowering the speed limit from 130 kilometers per hour to 100. Do you have any idea what this does to a country when you say this kind of stuff? People freak out over that. It's like,
what is the equivalency on those kilometer per hour numbers?
So it's 1.85. So
let me just put it in the machine.
Hey, John, put it in the machine. How much is 130 miles an hour?
80.
Kilometers an hour? Yeah, 80. 80. So they want to bring it back to, what is it, 65?
I know. I'm going to
100 kilometers
putting it
an
in
hour?
the machine.
62, I'm guessing. 62, 63, something like that. The machine is very slow.
62.1.
There you go.
It's slow but accurate.
Yes. So
they want people to drive at basically 60 miles an hour instead of 80.
Yeah. That, with the kind of traffic flows and how long it takes people to get through traffic here anyway, that's a definite social conversation. And now they're talking about bringing back the car-free Sundays, which I remember when in the 70s, they had Sundays where you weren't allowed to drive. It's just the whole country did not drive. It was in the paper today. It was in the paper today. They want to bring it back. Now, here's some other cool numbers.
It's for the climate emergency.
It is. No,
it'll stop climate change immediately.
John, this is seriously what they're saying. And otherwise, of course, we're all going to die. The number of electric vehicles in the Netherlands per, 1,000 people or whatever the metric is more than double that of any other country in the EU. And for this little country smaller than Rhode Island, 25 of all charging stations in the European Union are in the Netherlands. So they're just doing this. I can only see it as them doing for themselves.
Sounds like somebody did a great job. Hello, Elon. of doing some lobbying or creating this nonsense. This is what marketing's really all about, by the way.
Well,
for people out there who want to know about marketing, this is what marketing's about.
Well, I'll tell you, the people are not liking it. They are really not buying it at all. And we'll see. They're not going
to do jack.
Well, probably not. But everyone still is behind the farmers. They all like what the farmers did, and there's massive support for the farmers. So if anyone can do anything, after all, the Dutch government brought in the military. They were so afraid of the farmers coming to The Hague. If anyone's going to do anything, then it might be them. But for now, the Dutch are just docile as ever. I do have, to connect to this, a couple of climate change things that might make sense to just go into for a moment.
Well, I'm all game.
We have a new report is out. 11,000 scientists worldwide.
Yeah, I saw this.
Warning of catastrophic threat to humanity. And this is really a fear-mongering rotation item.
What we'd really like to see, though, is governments using the indicators that we've reported in our paper. The indicators we put there are quite broad and track all of the different things that are interlinked with climate change. And I think these broad indicators can help governments to paint a picture about how they are dealing with the threat of climate change. We outlined 6 kind of critical key steps that we think are necessary to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And top of that list is a switch or a move away from fossil fuels to using more renewable energy sources. And also, one thing that really isn't considered in detail when talking about climate change is human population growth. And we need to factor in human population growth when thinking about the policies and government directions in dealing with climate change.
I think we're back to eat your babies, because this is the problem. There's too many people. We're back to the population bomb.
Yeah, I think we've been back to I think we were at the population bomb the whole time. I don't think we've ever left it, and I think climate change is just another version of it.
Well, it seems to be
the guy's still alive, saying the same stuff.
Yeah.
Ehrlich.
Yeah, it seems to be the message once again. Said, no, shut up, slaves. There's too many of you. And that was what I understood.
Useless eaters.
Yes, that's what I saw as the main driver of this report is it's too many people. So then we have the protests. Of course, Extinction Rebellion is reasonably well known here. They have some things going on in the Netherlands. Of course, the UK is where it's really taking place. But we do have a group in the United States who is affiliated, trying to really get some attention for this. And this is the Fire Drill Fridays, which I think I mentioned on the previous show.
No.
I did. Jane Fonda is a member of Fire Drill Fridays. And they now...
You talked about her.
Yes, and now they send out media alerts. And I have a media alert here from... this is what you do. You have a... Can you buy these lists, or is there a central place that you can pay to send your media alert to, John?
Yeah. There's about 3 or 4 of them.
And what is
a lot of companies will do it.
What does that cost? Is that expensive to put out a media advisory?
No, it's not. It's not expensive at all. It's pretty cheap.
So here's what it came in for Fire Drill Friday. Media advisory for action on November 8th. Jane Fonda will risk arrest for civil disobedience. Yes. Yeah.
She sounds like they're trying to make her sound like Houdini.
Exactly. She's so brave. She'll risk her. And this is so, I think I said the last time, I really like Jane Fonda. This is so hard for me to see her doing this. But she went on The View to talk about this. And I just had to share this clip. Just so she's all in on we're all gonna die, and then at the end something interesting happens, which I think will take us into another topic.
But are you trying to tell the next generation coming up, go as far as you can, break the law, get arrested, do what you need to do?
Well, I am following what the young people are doing. I'm not telling them. They're inspiring me, not just Greta Doomberg, the Swedish.
Greta Doomberg. This is
Greta Doomberg.
This is the best one ever.
And they're inspiring me, not just Greta Doomberg.
I think it should be, was it Doomberg? Greta Doomberg? I don't know, Doomberg.
And they're inspiring me, not just Greta Doomberg.
No, it's Doomberg. There we go. That's what she's
Greta Doomberg. Yeah, that's what we're using.
Greta Doomberg.
Not telling them. They're inspiring me, not just Greta Doomberg, the Swedish student, but the Sunrise Movement, the Extinction Movement. All these young people who are leaving school to protest their future that we're taking from them. And they're a huge inspiration to me. Seeing these young people carrying the burden of protesting the fossil fuel industry, I say, no, we've got to get out there and join them. And so
but is there a way to do it without breaking the law? You think of all the peaceful protests that have led to change. I worry about living in an uncivil society.
Oh.
No, I agree with you. But you know something? Climate activists have been doing this for 40 years. We've been writing articles and we've been giving speeches. We've been putting the facts.
Same.
Say what?
She says, this climate activists have been doing this for 40 years, and the climate has not changed.
Exactly.
40 years. We've been writing articles, and we've been giving speeches. We've been putting the facts out to the American public and politicians, and we've marched and we've rallied peacefully. And
here it comes.
The fossil fuel industry is doing more and more and more to harm us and our environment and our young people's futures. And so we have to up the ante and engage in civil disobedience, which means risking getting arrested. And because it's going to require more and more and more and more people like all of you in the streets demanding, even the scientists. And, you know, scientists are kind of nerdy and neutral, but even the scientists, the climate scientists are.
Do you hear what I hear?
What did I know? What?
Listen carefully.
Even the scientists. And, you know, scientists are kind of nerdy and neutral, but...
Is she saying scientists or is she saying scientists? I think she's saying...
I'm not hearing this, so you got to play it a couple more times.
She's saying scientists.
Scientists. And, you know, scientists are...
Yeah.
Scientists are kind of nerdy and neutral, but even the scientists...
Scientists. John, she's been infected. Jane Fonda
Maybe it's
has...
a sign of something. Scientist.
She's been infected with the tea drop thing. She's hanging out with
she's in that milieu.
She's hanging out with Doomberg, and before you know it, you start speaking like this.
Scientists are kind of nerdy and neutral, but even the scientists, the climate scientists, are saying we're not going to be able to turn it around. We have 11 years to avoid catastrophe.
11 years,
and we can't do it unless people mobilize by the millions in the streets, folks out there.
We only have 11 years.
We have 11 years.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for 40 years.
we only have
11 left.
But to hear Jane Fonda start to drop her T's, scientists,
it's important.
Well, this was the most responded to topic from the last show.
Yes, we had a lot of people. I do have one clip to add to that. I want to play this clip. Tell me if you can figure out the what might be happening here. I think I cheated a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find the clip. I just grab my clip list here, and of course I can't find anything.
Very slick.
Oh yeah, I'm pulling a U. Well, you build up the clip, and then the next thing you know, you don't find it, you don't have it.
No build up. No build up here, ladies and gentlemen. No build up.
Don't do build ups. Oh, brother. No.
Don't tell me you forgot it.
No, I just don't see. I don't think I forgot it. Oh, okay. Well, go on with your story.
Oh, well, you keep looking at your clip list. Maybe it'll show up. Well, there was some more vocal fry that I identified, and then I would like to share a couple pieces of feedback. Some pieces of feedback. Let me guess. Was it Unplugged?
Yeah.
I knew it. That's the one I had queued up. I guessed it right. Does it need a setup?
Well, this is a podcast called Unplugged, and they're pretty much like use a lot of no agenda themes, but they're a little more, I'd say, less serious, generally speaking, and there's a lot of tea dropping on from both the female and the male. They're kind of flirty with each other, but they drop teas all over the place. But I'm going to see if you can spot this one.
If you think about this for a second, though, if we thought this about, let's say Clinton won, God forbid, and we thought that about how she was elected, wouldn't you understand their outrage? Like, wouldn't we be equally as outraged if we had lost the election and we had been told over and over again or been misled to believe that it was because Clinton was working with Russia and Russia hacked the voting machines to change the vote totals?
Oh, absolutely. But this is why I say all the time, this is hand in glove. This is why psychological warfare was important.
Wow. That was a long setup. Very important. Exactly. So this is rampant. I have one more clip to play, which is both a millennial speak and a vocal fry and a tea drop. It's like the triple threat. This was the new meme, which came from, I forget which actress it came from. It is self-partnering. Did you hear about this fabulous?
Oh, this is Emma Watson.
Emma Watson.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
The woman you will hear, this is on the BBC, the woman who is being interviewed is from the Washington Post, a serious news publication.
Gwyneth Paltrow came up with the term conscious uncoupling when she was getting divorced. Now we've got Emma Watson saying she's self-partnered. Why this desire to come up with a new term to describe being single?
Sure. I think the word single sometimes doesn't convey the richness and fullness that can happen in a single person's life. It doesn't acknowledge the fact that a single person might have really healthy friendships and relationships with their family. And here at the Washington Post a couple of
it's so good this
years ago.
By the way, you might as well, you may want to think about this movie because she's asked the question and she says sure, which is another one of these things that we just hate.
There was so much. I mean, I just wanted to give you a couple things to listen to. But yeah, the sure was in there as well.
Really healthy friendships and relationships with your family. And, here at the Washington Post a couple of years ago, we coined a term solo-ish to describe the idea that a single person's life is their own, but it's also full of other fulfilling relationships beyond a partner.
But I mean, is it a sort of more euphemistic way of kind of describing a state that, I mean, you're still single at the end of the day?
It's hard to know why Emma chose the term. It is resonating with people on Twitter and stuff, sometimes in a joking way. People saying that, they're going to tell their nosy relatives when they inquire about their dating lives that they're self-partnered. But I think for her, it was a chance to say, no, I'm happy single. And, sometimes the word single can sound like something is lacking or that a person is looking for a partner, and that's not always the case. So plenty of single people are happy that way, and self-partnered might be a good way to describe that.
So that was a combo.
She's a hummer.
She's a
she
hummer.
Keeps all the wishes. It's like one. She never stops making noise, and she keeps going for. And then she said, Twitter and stuff.
Yes, and stuff.
What does that mean?
Stuff, man.
Yeah, they're going to read about it on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, that's the Washington Post for you. So we had this conversation about this tea dropping, and a lot of people wrote in, and here's what bothered me: is we had only just gone through this phase of being excoriated a few years ago. The people saying, I remember that it was kind of like, oh, that's misogynist, or remember that, John? Was just a brief moment where people were pushing back on it, and then it kind of went away. It got pushed away, and no one talked about it. So I was very surprised when we were called out for being racist and misogynist, because that's pretty much what the linguist professor said. And I wanted to play a report that I think we might have played from 2013, so only 6 years ago, not that long ago. And this is not a podcast. This is CBS This Morning. It's mainstream television. This is how they dealt with it 6 years ago. Pretty much the same thing we got excoriated for just 4 days ago.
America's young women are running out of oxygen. What else could explain why so many of them sound like this? So cute. So cute. Which is kind of like my, motto.
Kim and Chloe just don't get it.
Believe it or not, there's a scientific term for the way a Kardashian speaks, and it's vocal fry. It's a low, creaky vibration produced by a fluttering of the vocal cords. Speech pathologists call it a disorder that verges on vocal abuse, and here's what it looks like. Call it a quirk, a trend, or an epidemic. Vocal fry is everywhere.
I'm not staying here tonight.
The only reason why I'm going is just to network.
A recent study of women in college found that 2/3 of them use this glottalization, which explains why the fry is a sizzling topic in the New York Times. On morning TV,
it sounds something like this.
Even for an NPR host.
It's annoying. I mean, it's really annoying.
When I was a tween in the early 80s, the Valley Girl was born. She brought us like and uptalk. And there's been like a general cultural agreement that like that kind of speech leaves the user sounding airheady and unprofessional. But vocal fry is unique because researchers have found that women who talk this way are seen by their peers as educated, urban-oriented, and upwardly mobile.
You love him, and he totally complimented you.
Some linguists even suggest that creaky young ladies are evolving our culture as linguistic innovators.
Tyler has a pretty good reputation in this business.
While metaphorically, I encourage every woman to find her voice, I'm dismayed at how low it can go.
On my 16th birthday.
I'm burned out on the fry. It sounds underwhelmed and disengaged. It's annoying to listen to a young woman who sounds world-weary. And exactly like her 14 best friends.
So I just find that very interesting that this was kind of dealt with 6 years ago. And you heard it. Everyone was complaining about it. New York Times, NPR, everybody said this is dumb. It makes you sound dumb. And somehow just, no. You can't tell anyone that's wrong. That's just racist. So what was your favorite piece of feedback you got from this dropping of T, specifically the dropping of T's?
Well, almost everybody. My favorite feedback, just in general, were people coming in saying, "I've been in this field, and this is being taught it's like an SJW thing. That's a sidelight. It's not really true linguistics. We're more on the side of Noam Chomsky, who's a father of modern linguistics, and this guy's full of crap, and he shouldn't even be teaching." That's kind of the stuff you'd be getting. But a
lot of people said that.
I don't have one specific to read. I do have something that guy wrote that I thought was funny, where he referred to one of the clips of the women that we played as a they.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Said, and then they referred to she.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in one of his notes. I
missed that one.
But he says funny. They instead of she when it's a woman, and we would normally go along with the program that if a woman's talking, the woman is a she, not a they, and then to assume they're a they makes to say they without somebody telling you their personal pronoun
is a violation.
Is very presumptuous.
Yes, it's a violation of all terms and conditions.
I mean, if you just say she, it goes right across. It's like, well, I'll use she. But to throw they in out of the blue, it seemed to me to be presumptuous and also like just virtue signaling. I really was not impressed with this guy. And the fact that he's a professor of linguistics at a prestigious school, it makes it even more. It's almost depressing. Not that I want to put this guy down. No, come on.
No, but so I think the general consensus was what he was saying is, this is prescriptive and not defining. So language is always alive and it changes and it morphs, and this is true. There's no doubt about it. And you don't hear us complaining too much anymore about words that have completely taken on new meaning. But gay is an excellent example. And was in my lifetime that it definitely meant something else.
Yeah, it meant happy.
Right. And yes. And so, but it's okay. So we go along with a lot of things, but language changes not because someone says, this is how we're doing it. Shut up, old white men. Because that's the message I got was.
It was the message.
It's like, language changes and you're in the way. No, that's not the deal. It's like the older generation.
It's not the way it works.
No, the older generation gets to grouse about it and push back.
In fact, the older generation is part of the reason some of these things never change.
Yes, it's our duty, our civic duty. I like the analogy of human language is more similar to fashion than it is to C++, and that kind of resonated in my brain. I think that's true. There were two other comments that I thought were interesting, and one related not just to the glottization.
It's easy for you to say.
That's not. But to vocal fry. One of our producers says, a friend of mine is a former heroin user and has observed people's voices change when they start using heroin. dropping into vocal fry. He says he can almost instantly spot a heroin user based on their voice and has called out people who've confirmed that they started using. Now, my question is, does that go for Oxy as well? Does it go for, or does it have to be, your mainlining heroin?
It doesn't quite surprise me because there used to be, and I still have some of this. I've never done this again, but I could because I kept it. There was a cough syrup out there called Ventolin.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some issue with my lungs. This is decades ago. And if you take this stuff, it not only gives you vocal fry, but I personally sound exactly like Henry Kissinger.
Oh man, you gotta do a hit.
The problem is that it takes hours and hours to go away.
Are you hammered when you take it, or the fry takes hours to go away?
Yeah, the fry takes hours to go away.
What kind of stuff is that?
You really have to be completely... And I don't know if it has anything to do with just my reaction to this particular whatever chemical is in this cough syrup. But I just have unbelievable. I cannot not talk like this. It's just complete... But it's like that with amplitude.
Nice. Well,
that's the difference. I can't amplitude. I can make this sound, but I can't do it at high amplification, which I can with that stuff.
Cool.
And it's distressing.
I'll have to try some.
Are you worried that maybe you're going to get stuck like this?
I'll have to try some. This was the best response, and it actually struck me as maybe even not as he intended it. Gentlemen, fantastic language segment. A minor comment. I believe the dropping T's issue is more of a neglect of N's in reference to words of important, mountain. The real letter at issue is the N. I guess.
Yeah, I agree. This is the best letter. Read this.
I'd guess this N neglect has something to do with the youth regarding the nasal aspect of the N as sounding not sufficiently hip or too square. Or maybe it's a shibboleth for anti-French sentiment, which he threw in there. But these are the words where it does show up: important and mountain.
And what you're getting when you say mountain and important is you're getting a different N sound when you're saying important. You're getting IN. I think it's actually even bigger than that. What he's discussing, you're getting so it's important.
Yeah.
And it's always an N or a mountain.
Well, but they're kind of sucking in the N. Important.
Well, it's in. It's like the word in is it. It's weird. They don't want to say N in the normal fashion by his thesis, and I think there's something to this.
I have a theory. What if your entire life you were told you can say anything you want except the N word? Could it be that's
wow.
Could it be that is stuck in people's brains to such a degree?
Important.
And even when the N and it's the same N as the N word, could it be that is what's going on?
No.
Okay.
But what if it? I mean, I guess within the realms of possibility.
Thank you. I think this is my theory, and I'm sticking to it. They're afraid of the N word.
You don't say curtain. You say curtain.
It's a mystery, is what it is. It's a dang mystery.
Well, I was thinking about a few, like the word important. You don't have to really say the T to get the word out. I mean, it could be
important.
It's very important. It's very important. Important.
Yeah, that's the difference. I don't say important. I say important, but not important.
You say important.
Not
but
important.
You don't say important.
No,
you don't choke it up. You don't choke the word out.
Just stop it. Stop it, children. Stop it. Enough.
This needs more discussion, obviously.
Yeah. Well.
Because we've been talking about, since you found that old clip, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about, obviously, for at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Well.
And I noticed I got some vocal fry on my voice.
You do. You do. Come on, Courtney. All right. So what's going on over there? You're only 8,000 miles away. You sound pretty good for that distance.
The fires are out, or they're contained 100%.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good news. And is the power on?
The power's on. The power's been on here.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where. There's probably still off someplace. Nothing. There's nothing going on. I think they're trying to impeach Trump.
Yeah, I have not missed seeing that 24/7, and it's really been so nice. I mean, of course you're looking at other death and destruction. We're all going to die, but at least it's not impeach Trump. It's refreshing. Some other shit is going on in the world. Yeah. Well, do you got any updates?
Dying is preferable. I will say this, by the way. Today's Zephyr train was only 7 cars long.
Oh, there's something wrong.
I think so.
You could do a stock chart forecast. It could be the Dvorak Zephyr report, and based upon how many cars the Zephyr had on average, you could have better economic numbers than anyone else.
In fact, yes, I could.
So I don't like 7.
Maybe
That's low. 7 is low. 7 is low.
It's the lowest I've ever seen.
Low count. Well, let me tell you what I got about the impeachment stuff. I only have 2 things that I caught over here. One is about the whistleblower, who I guess we still don't know who it is, or we think we know who it is, but we're not supposed to say.
Well, they're throwing a name around.
Right, but you're not allowed to say it because the whistleblower has protections. Here's Rand Paul, who disagrees.
The whistleblower laws, though, they protect a whistleblower. It's illegal to out a whistleblower.
Actually, you got that wrong, too.
No, we don't.
You should work on the facts. Here's the thing is, the whistleblower statute protects the whistleblower from having his name revealed by the Inspector General. Even the New York Times admits that no one else is under any legal obligation. The other point, and you need to be very careful if you really are interested in the news, is that the whistleblower actually is a material witness completely separate from being the whistleblower because he worked for Joe Biden. He worked for Joe Biden at the same time Hunter Biden was receiving $50,000 a month. So the investigation into the corruption of Hunter Biden involves this whistleblower because he was there at the time. Did he bring up the conflict of interest? Was there discussion of this? What was his involvement with the relationship between Joe Biden and the prosecutor? There's a lot of questions that the whistleblower needs to answer.
No, there you go. So I guess that makes him a bad whistleblower. A bad blower.
Something's fake. Something's phony about this whistleblower.
Of course.
But yeah, everybody's on Rand Paul's bandwagon for.
Oh, really? Oh, is he leading the charge finally on something?
Well, he's not leading the charge, but that was an important statement that he made. And all the right-wing talkers are all, oh, well, Rand, I don't agree with everything. He's one of these deals.
Oh, yeah.
I don't agree with everything he says,
but. Exactly. You know what's going to happen is we're going to keep doing important, and, it's going to become language, and then people are going to hate us. Should be careful.
They're going to hate us anyway.
Samantha Powers spoke up, why does she even need to be heard?
She rose did she come out of her coffin and speak?
She sounds like she came out of the coffin. She sounds like a dude.
Do you think that Republicans, and many of them would say a quid pro quo, does not actually reach the bar for impeachment of high crimes and misdemeanors?
I think what you see from Republicans is a kind of nervousness, acute nervousness about the facts of what Trump did.
Tell me, if you don't close your eyes, that doesn't sound like a dude, kind of like Stephanopoulos height,
Well, doesn't it sound a little like Jane Fonda, too?
And therefore, more and more discussion of process. It's not fair process. It's closed door.
She does.
You're
right.
Democrats go open door. Oh, it's a show trial. And so they're really, I think, trying to change the conversation. I mean, he went and asked.
Notice she says, they've been trying to change the conversation. You know the old Dutch proverb, en wat je zegt met jezelf met je kop door de helft, which means she may be accusing people of what she is about to do herself.
And so they're really, I think, trying to change the conversation. I mean, he went and asked a foreign government to not dig up dirt, make up dirt in order to...
This is new. Did he ask them...
This showed up about 3 or 4 days, or actually even longer, but I know it started creeping in, where even though you've got the transcript to read, there's nothing in there where Trump says, I would like you to make up dirt about Joe Biden.
If you can't find it, make it up.
But that's what the left is saying all around here. You're starting to hear this. It's a meme now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trump called the comedian president of Ukraine and told him to make up dirt about Joe Biden.
Jeez.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
It's like, why? I'm not getting it.
You know, people over here, they don't even really want me to tell them what's happening, but here's how it usually starts. Trump's not going to get impeached, is he? That's pretty much what everyone has said to me. Not, do you think he's going to get impeached? What's going on? Just like, he's not going to get impeached, is he? Which is interesting. And no one's really...
Where does that coming from?
I don't know. No one's mad. I think because they're being hammered about climate change and, you know, they have other problems.
They want Trump to stay because he's a climate denier.
Yes. He's like, oh, they don't have that bull crap over there at least.
Well, we have it on and off. We just don't have it to such an extreme.
Right.
It's because we don't have a great leader like Greta Doomberg.
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 Elizabeth Warren finally defined the middle class. I was just asking about this on the last show. Did you hear this?
Yeah, you. If this isn't the same clip you played in the last show, I'll be surprised.
No, I didn't play this clip on the last show. No.
Okay.
No, this is a new clip. It's a shorty, but she's asked to define the middle class because she promised costs will not go up for the middle class. Now, did we arrive at a number at the bracket? I think this reporter even asked for the bracket. Did we come up with a number as the top end?
Well, I thought that the number we came up was Obama's number, which was $250,000 a year, is the top end of the middle class.
Okay, well, some states, it seems...
And the bottom end would be poverty.
Right, what is what? What's poverty? 25, 30?
I think it's 25 currently. I'm not sure.
Okay, so...
It's in that vicinity.
Right, so everybody above 250, you could be screwed. No,
yes.
you could be screwed by Warren's tax. Actually, no. You don't have to be worried at all.
Senator, when you say you won't raise middle-class taxes, what is the income bracket that you use to define?
Here it's 100%. It doesn't raise taxes on anybody but billionaires. And you know what? The billionaires can afford it, and I don't call them middle class. So billionaire, that's where it worked.
Anyone under $1 billion, that works.
That's right. It's not paying a penny more. That's exactly right.
Anyone under $1 billion pays not a penny more. You heard it there. That's your middle class, is under $1 billion.
Well, I think this is similar to the clip you played.
No.
Now, well, I don't know what that clip is then. But, yeah, she made this comment. This guy went around and, it's bullshit. She never specifically said the middle class was anyone who makes under $1 billion.
No, she just said it now, though.
She didn't really say that. He's asking her who's going to get taxed.
No, he says, what is the middle class? What's the bracket?
Well, but she didn't answer the question. If a politician, I'm going to have to say something here. We know that politicians don't answer the question. So we can't really, and so she's answering some question that wasn't asked. She's asking who's going to get taxed, and he asked who's the middle class, and she didn't answer the question. I don't see that you can accuse her of saying this when she did her normal avoidance behavior of not answering the question and then sticking her with an answer. I think is unfair. I think you're being unfair to Betsy. That was her normal name. Betsy. I did a bunch of research on her.
Betsy? And, really? With a new name, Betsy.
So Betsy was her name. I researched her because I was saying, I saw a picture of her. Here's what I thought. Don't clip this for the cartoon. I'm saying that because of all this stumbling. To get to my point. Where's Betsy Warren's, where's her husband?
What do you mean?
What's his name? What's his husband? Okay, without looking, what's her husband's name?
Paul. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong.
What is his name?
Bruce.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. I knew it was a Paul or a Bud or something like that.
Well, she may have been. She had two husbands. She was married and then she got divorced and she married Bruce.
Okay.
And you never see Bruce. You never hear of Bruce. Nobody's doing profiles of Bruce.
Well,
so I started looking in.
He didn't want a beer. That's why. She offered him a beer. He said no, and that was his career. Over with. Done. You're not on camera.
They're actually a kind of a, for their age and all, they're a cute couple, and she's very pretty when she was in high school, on and off. She has a glamour shot. I started looking up all of her pictures.
Oh, you were stalking her. Nice.
She has a glamour shot of at one point, which maybe I'll run in a newsletter, because in this glamour shot, she's got the epicantral fold. She looks like an American Indian. She's got black hair. Her hair is always dark, not the blondie as she is today. And so I looked at all her pictures in grammar school and all the rest, and we read this very interesting profile of her in some obscure publication. And she was she got skipped. She was a smart girl. She skipped a year in school, moved up, and she was apparently a master debater. Won the state championship for debating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking this would be I didn't like the idea of her running, although I do know she's not going to do anything. And she was always a Republican until she was 40-something, which is very strange.
Yeah, I know. I knew that.
And she, I would love to see her in a debate with Trump. I think this would be fun to watch.
Well,
because apparently she was a kick-ass debater.
An observation is that you were creeping on Betsy there.
Betsy.
You were creeping on Betsy.
Doing due diligence.
Oh, yes. Okay, due diligence. Now, you know what? A little defensive about her. She was very cute. I mean, everybody heard it. I'm not the only one who heard this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I respect your analysis. Bill Gates disagrees with you.
You historically actually have been in favor of a wealth tax, I think.
Of a high estate tax.
Of a high estate tax.
Yeah.
So there is now on the table, Elizabeth Warren has a true wealth tax on the table, 6% for billionaires. It would cost you, I believe, close to $6 billion annually if you had to pay it on top of what you already pay. What do you think of all of this?
So I've paid over $10 billion in taxes. I paid more than anyone in taxes. But I'm glad to have if I'd had to pay $20 billion, it's fine. But when you say I should pay $100 billion, okay, then I'm starting to do a little math about what I have left over. Sorry, I'm just kidding. You really want the incentive system to be there, and you can go a long ways without threatening that.
Have you ever talked to Elizabeth Warren about any of this before? Would you? Would you want to?
I'm not sure how open-minded she is.
Bill's doing stand-up here. He's just one after another. It's like
he's always been funny, and
he's got the crowd going. Yeah, they like it.
Or that
this odd thing is bothersome. I mean, he's always had these affectations in his voice, but you know who does that?
No.
Ted Turner was a big before he said anything, and I think it might be a milieu issue.
Well, you got to be careful because Ted has severe dementia now. He's a shadow of himself. So
I'm sure his ahs have gotten completely out of control.
Well, I wonder if it's an early warning sign.
Oh, wow. You're on a roll today.
I am.
I'm not sure how open-minded she is. Or that she'd
it's a nerd fry. It's a nerd vocal fry.
Even be willing to sit down with somebody, who has large amounts of money.
Okay, so let me make it complicated for you. You have been, politely say, public about your misgivings about our current president. If Elizabeth Warren were the other candidate, what would you do?
I'm not going to, make political declarations, but I do think no matter what policy somebody has in mind, a professional approach is even, as much as I disagree with some of the policy things that are out there, I do think a professional approach to the office. Whoever I decide would have the more professional approach in the current situation probably is the thing that I'll weigh the most. And, I hope the more professional candidate is an electable candidate.
Okay.
Hey, I wonder if it's a tell. Because he's basically there just lying his ass off. because he'd never vote for Trump. He knows that if it was Warren, he'd have to vote for Warren because otherwise he'd be excoriated from the pedo club.
Yes.
But maybe it's a tell whenever he's going to do a really big lie. Why?
And it's different than just the normal which people, I do it, you do a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. They say but is not the same as it's not like a seal.
Listen to that last one.
Approach is even, as much as I disagree with some of the policy things that are out there, I do think a professional approach to the office, whoever I decide would have the more professional approach in the current situation, probably is the thing that I'll weigh the most. I hope.
It sounded like it sounds like his body is almost saying, this is bullshit.
Professional approach in the current situation probably is the thing that I'll weigh the most. I hope the more.
We got to pay attention to him doing that now, because I think it's a tell.
It might be a tell. He does it a lot.
Yeah, but that was a good one at the end.
The beginning of it, the whole thing, he really did it to an extreme.
The end, I like it where they're different. It's a cool version of Tourette's, maybe. I don't know. It's a nerdy thing.
Bill supposedly has Parkinson's, and this is not discussed a lot. But I've seen absolutely zero evidence.
I don't see any evidence of that either. At least not yet.
This. And this was, I think I first heard about this 4 or 5 years ago, and there's no evidence of it. Yeah. So let's see what's going on.
Oh no, she's around. She's flying around. She's coming back. She still looks like she might swoop in. Did you see Hillary and Chelsea crash the monologue on the James Corden show?
Yes, I watched them do their thing. That's where I got the quote from her saying that we've got to get rid of the Electoral College.
Oh, was this in the opening? I thought did they do a sit down interview? Because I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I only got when they did stand up. Did you see this cringe?
No, I missed this cringe.
Oh my goodness!
I only caught the sit down.
So James Corden's doing his monologue, and then the curtains open behind him.
Politicians don't belong on entertainment shows. These shows are for celebrities, not political figures.
Now, this was 17 seconds of standing ovation, so I cut it down.
Thank you.
But people were going nuts. They're just, oh my God, there they are! This is real! She looks great.
Hillary and Chelsea Clinton, what are you doing here?
Well,
what
James,
an actor.
We heard your jokes backstage and felt it was our civic duty to end this humanitarian crisis.
Now, so of course, what happened here is, they agreed to come on the show. We're going to do something different, and then the writers sat down and they wrote some jokes. And now you're going to see two women delivering jokes. And I'd love to hear your analysis, because you feel the punchline coming from 1,000 miles, and still it generates a little chuckle. There's something about it.
A lot of structured jokes that you have to give to amateurs.
Yes.
I am really fed up with all of your Trump jokes every single time. If anyone should be telling Trump jokes, it's me.
It's like, that's just pandering to the crowd.
You got something to say about Donald Trump trying to get votes for Sean Spicer on Dancing with the Stars? The stage is yours. Go for it. Go and get in it.
Oh, now Chelsea goes.
Actually, I do.
Oh,
because,
no.
I can't blame Trump for trying to help Sean Spicer. But if there's one thing we've learned, is that these guys really can't win the popular vote.
Wow, I am really high.
Chelsea, do you want to get in on this?
Sure. Former White House spokesman Sean Spicer is now on Dancing with the Stars.
it is an improvement on his old job, dancing around the issues.
No, you get the idea. And then she does an emails joke, and it's like,
she could have, if she'd hit up the word dancing around the issues and then plowed through the second part of that, it could have actually been better. Delivered properly. Yeah. But no.
So that just shows...
The delivery's a little flat for both of them.
So that appearance shows that she's still in the game, and obviously we're now November 7th, and this is 6 days past our self-imposed deadline of her re-entry.
Actually, my self-imposed deadline. You never signed on to that.
But this is the kind of guy I am. I'll take the bad with you. That's what I'm saying.
Take a shot in the... Take a bullet for me.
Yes, I would. In a heartbeat. Absolutely.
I just want to make it clear that I'm the one who's responsible for the first thing.
Well, I think
for being wrong.
No, I think you still have a shot. You have a shot.
No, I'm not. I have not thrown in the towel.
No, you shouldn't, because I have another clip here. This is everybody's favorite money honey, Maria Bartiromo, and she had a sit-down interview with Steve Bannon, known of the Bannon brothers. And he had the following to say.
And Steve, you said in the past you don't think this is going to be the lineup come 2020 on the Democratic side.
I think if you look at the Liberty and Justice dinner in Iowa the other night, Joe Biden was totally uninspired, right? And I don't think Mayor Pete got that Obama moment he was looking for. I just don't believe that the centrist, that, particularly the Wall Street crowd in the Democratic Party, are going to sit there and think that they have a coronation for Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's policies are so radical. The math doesn't even come close to it.
$52 trillion for the health care plan.
First off, you have to go this modern monetary theory. You have to totally change the way we've ever thought about finance, the way you thought about money, to even have some concept of the radicalization of what her policies are.
Yeah.
So I think that Bloomberg and Clinton are still there, as Biden's in fourth in Iowa. He's in second in New Hampshire, I think, dropping to third. He's losing steam everywhere.
You think Michael Bloomberg or Hillary Clinton will enter this race?
I think that they are the two best representatives of what goes for today, the centrists of the Democratic Party. I believe the centrists, no matter how late, sometime before Iowa or even come in, I don't believe they want to seem like they're disruptors, right? So they don't want to elbow Biden aside, but as the natural gravity falls out of in the first two races, South Carolina is what's propping him up right now. And if Mayor Pete does not get the traction, and he did not have an Obama moment the other day, I think that the centrists are going to have a vote, and they're either going to look and say Bloomberg or Clinton are the best shot.
Can they beat Donald Trump?
No. The only person who can beat Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Donald Trump right now, there's not a candidate out there that can defeat Donald Trump.
There you go, straight from the horse's mouth.
Curiously, this guy is on the road because he was on a couple of the right-wing talkers, and he's been floating around.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't gotten into the high-profile shows yet.
I don't know if that's his thing, if he really even wants to go after that. He seems to be very comfortable with kind of the business press. He does, Bloomberg. He did, some podcasts. I don't know. The guy's smart, so I'm sure he's doing. But do you think he really wants to be like in kind of a mainstream soundbite type program? And this is something we got to talk for half an hour, and that's what he's looking for.
Maybe he just wants to talk longer, and he can't do that on a.
He doesn't care.
Anything up higher.
Here's how he's thinking. I don't care as long as the No Agenda boys got some clips to play. That's all that's on his mind. I understand that. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in creeping on Betsy, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, the boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our trolls in the troll room, which can be found at noagendastream.com. Hey, just hop on over there. You can listen to any show live as it's being produced live. We have a lot of them that go live. It's great. We got great shows live. I'm doing a Trump thing. Great shows. Perfect people. Everything's beautiful over there. NoAgendaStream.com. Oh, yes. And if you're a troll, you'll be welcomed with cookies. No Agenda Stream. NoAgendaStream.com. Then I'd like to offer a big hearty in the morning to Larry Dane, who is I think he's never, let me check. I think we discussed this. I do not believe he is. It was his second submission. And he scored the Album Art Award for episode 1187. The title of that was Pre-Deceased. And he had the Oxford Dictionary of Current English, as the T was dropping off. English Privilege, the No Agenda original. And it felt good to us, but I believe there was something we wanted to critique.
Yes, well, the one that I thought was the best piece was Mike Riley. You said it was too obscure, you weren't going to put up with it. But this is with Jimmy Garoppolo standing there and two weather balloons that I'd commented that he likes to date women that looked like they were two weather balloons in a halter top.
Right.
Which you thought was slightly amusing. But what got me about this, he's got Jimmy Garoppolo, and then there's two weather balloons floating in the air with stripper tassels hanging from them.
That was the part that was too obscure. First of all, I didn't recognize Jimmy Garoppolo, nor did it even trigger anything in my memory. Because, that just doesn't.
I thought the tassels were a hilarious touch.
Very funny, but it really didn't translate for me. Not saying it's bad. But,
no, obviously, we didn't pick it.
No.
I'm just saying this is the piece I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And mainly because of the subtle touch of the tassels. I'm old enough that I've been to burlesque shows, the classics.
Yes, I've been to a burlesque show or two.
And they used to have these women who would come out with these topless, and not bottomless usually, but topless, with these tassels hanging off their nipples.
And they could twirl them.
They would get them spinning through a jumping jack like exercise. They get them going. And the really talented women, if you want to call this a talent.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Now, when they were jumping and whatever movements were their talent, were they both spinning in the same direction, or could they do
generally
opposite
but then
directions?
They would stop it and make them go in one direction and one go in the other direction.
Wow.
And they do it like on cue, and it was like,
God, yes.
Wow, you'd say to yourself,
talent.
But you're like a teenager, and you're anything is impressive.
No, I can imagine you just last Friday. Wow, hey, you got talent. I'm a podcaster.
You got talent.
let me tell you about my talent. Show.
Now that's what I call talent.
I did like Joe Biden with his little Mr. Microphone. I think we both found that to be just
that
a
was
tad
good too.
obscure.
But again, that was an obscure reference. Mr. Microphone is probably unknown to most people.
Yeah. And live from the Netherlands, travel tips. So we looked at travel tips, but it was functional. It was a Darren O'Neill piece. Yeah, but ultimately, everyone does a beautiful job, and we had to pick one. And it's just, it's whatever works for us at that moment. But we really appreciate all the work that everybody puts into.
Well, I also picked Comic Strip Bloggers NLEU live from the Netherlands, one for the newsletter, because I thought it fit in with the newsletter.
Yes, and of course. And that's what we use the images for. It's not just for the album art. I always use one for the live stream, for announcing. I actually used a Comic Strip Blogger today, which had 1188. It's the only time you're allowed to use numbers is for the pre-stream. And he had them in the Dutch flag colors, red, white, and blue. But actually, somehow the whole thing feels really Dutch. So I like that. And some of these also go on T-shirts and mugs at noagendashop.com. And the artists get a piece of the profits there, as does the show. So we're very appreciative. Thank you so much to our artists who participate. And if you want to throw your hat in the ring, just go to noagendaartgenerator.com and create an account if it works. Sometimes you might have to try twice. And upload your work. And
I want to comment on one more piece of art.
Sure thing.
This was from, I think, the previous show. We didn't do a commentary. I thought the Wappo 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 by Darren O'Neill of showing the Washington Post and beloved leader dead at 56, Hitler.
Yes. Yeah, but
was really a noteworthy piece.
But all those jokes had already been made.
The joke's been made. That's what your complaint was.
Yeah.
The joke's been made, but I'm not going to put Hitler on our album art. I just don't think it's. These guys use Hitler.
Yeah, we won't do it without some thought. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I suppose it could be some instance, but we've never used Hitler before. I doubt it's going to happen. But you've got you artists out there. You think it's up to the challenge. You might want to try something, but a bunch of Hitler art.
No. No Hitler art. Because, people take that seriously when you say that. Don't say that.
Let's do this Hitler.
We have executive producers and associate executive producers to thank today. And then it's going to have a very short second segment.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of response to the newsletter.
I fly 6,000 miles. I set up. I sleep for 3 hours. I prep. I set up. I do a show.
And this is the thanks you get.
This is the thanks we get. It's okay. It's the way the value for value system works. It's whatever it was worth to you. And it's always a strong message to us. And it's appreciated. And, of course, we have many messages of encouragement today.
Well, DJ Fuji starts us off at $500. And he says, well, gentlemen, it's been about a year since my first donation, and my requested jobs karma has been outstanding.
Oh, nice.
The donation brings me to knighthood. And I humbly request the karaoke and cocktails at the round table, the kind you find at Andrew's Florida Tiki Hut. Andrew Horowitz. With your permission, I'd like to be knighted as Sir DJ Fuji of Jersey City.
Okay.
I'd like to give very special thanks to DH Unplugged. Riddles are fun, but not so much as Fed limericks.
Are you guys doing Fed limericks now?
No, that's old. We haven't done that. We're doing brain teasers.
Oh.
Shout out to Sir Super Steve and Hoboken Matt. Jingle request, pansexual men. Get out of my vagina. Can you see the juice? Look at the juice. Beautiful yum.
Wait a minute. The first one is pansexual meatloaf?
Meatloaf, I'm sorry.
What is that?
I don't know.
Pansexual meat. Because I looked for pansexual. I looked for meatloaf. I can't find any of this. Meatloaf.
I don't remember it. Doesn't ring a bell.
I got the other ones, but
well, he's going to have to wait then on the rest of it.
Yeah, you have to let it.
Anyway, then he finishes him up. He says, here's hoping to several more years of the best podcast in the universe before your exit strategy finally works. All jingles found at phoneboy.com/noagenda.
And then he has his account.
ringtones. And then he's got some accounting.
So we have to go to Phoneboy to figure out. Hey, man.
Oh, yeah. Phoneboy probably had the pansexual meatloaf.
But I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure we have it, but it just, how can that be what it's titled? It doesn't make any sense.
It seems unlikely.
Okay. All right. That's the end of his note. I can do the other ones for him. I have that sequence, and I'll throw some karma there for him. I don't know if he requested that, but he's going to get it.
Vagina! Get at him! Get at him! Get at him! My vagina! Oh my gosh! Can you see that juice?
Look at that juice. The juice that comes out. My hand is dripping wet here because I have nothing but juice.
Beautiful. Yum.
You've got karma.
Sick! Sick! You people are sick!
I forgot that part of it, that guy going on about his hand being covered.
People remember the strangest things.
Sir, I still tune into, I believe it's not HBO. It's one of those shopping channels trying to catch that guy and that woman. Because I know that they would do this again in similar, because that guy's always dramatic.
Yes.
He's a big giant guy and he's really dramatic. Yeah. But I have not been able to catch another clip like that for a couple of years now. I gave up.
Oh, well.
Yeah, fascinating story. No. Sir Dave, Earl of America's Heartland is Saudi Arabia. That's $333.
Yes. Fugazoto.
Please preload the following jingles. Dogs are people too. That's true, gentlemen. Good day. Donating today in honor of our beloved mutt, Charles Bartholomew Fugazoto III. Junior. Who passed away a couple of days ago. He's been sick for a while, so we knew he probably wasn't long for this world, but passing was still something of a shock. Dames Melody and Isabella and I are hanging in there, but we would appreciate some service goat karma for our family and all those who have experienced this loss. It was a wonderful 10 years with a very good boy. We're going to miss that mongrel. Thank you for your courage.
Sir Dave, Earl of America's Heartland in Saudi Arabia. We make a lot of jokes about dogs, but if there's one reason I really, really don't want pets anymore is that. I hate it when they die. It's like, and that you remember that so much more than when you got them the first day.
Dogs are people, too.
That's true. You've got karma.
Sir Sander in Zondam.
Yo.
296.20. He's in Holland. Hi, guys. I always remember the 5th of November. It's my twin daughter's birthday. Birthdays. If it's twin daughter's birthday, is it twin daughter's birthday or twin daughter's birthdays?
It's them. It's them's birthday.
Them's birthday. Today we celebrate them becoming teenagers. Woohoo! Trot.
This is a hashtag.
Hashtag hash brown trot-evader, trot-servator. I don't know what the hell it is.
Hashtag trotsevader, which means
trotsevader. I wasn't thinking it was in Dutch. With this donation, I gained my Earl status. Trotser. Please change my current status from Baron of the Alps to Earl of the Swiss Alps, because Alps, an area that covers 8 different countries, is too difficult to put on the no agenda peerage map, I think.
Oh.
I do not get it. I did not get it registered with no agenda maps. Anyways, going on. And then he's got something about the Alps, a Wikipedia link. Thanks to both you, Curry. To both your Curry. LOL, courage, Sir Zonder.
Sir Zonder is high
what
again.
He's talking about.
So, trotse vader means proud dad, and that's the translation of that hashtag.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, yeah, I think he got high there halfway through. It's a Dutch thing. We do that. Let me bang out an email. Hold on. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Alps.
Alps.
Thank you, Sir Zonder. We'll change your title momentarily. And, of course, Dr. Fuji will see you on the podium later as well.
Sir Donald Borowski, our buddy from
Spokane Valley.
He's actually, his actual title is Sir Donald of the Fire Bottles Count of Eastern Washington State. He sent a note in on United Federation of Planets letterhead, which he didn't have to because he already donated enough money to get all notes read. Once again, time has gotten away from me, so here is my donation for October and November, which is 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or $246.90. I enclose an article from Car and Driver about people pushing back against self-driving cars. Cheers, Sir David. Okay.
All right. Did he want any jinglage?
He has no jinglish or anything listed, so we're assuming. But give him a karma. He doesn't get that.
Exactly.
You've got karma.
Not gonna waste that.
And so here we go. Here is our buddy, Sir Compost Ranger in Grand Canyon, Arizona, $200.
Oh yeah,
we referred to him recently. First off, it's been several months since I've donated, so I humbly request a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
I've been a bit busy lately and have been catching up on the Fast Pew episodes. I saved the last 2 on my phone and look forward to listening to them while I'm around the Grand Canyon for work. Hikers invariably still presume I'm listening to a douchey TED Talk as I burst out laughing.
Yeah, there you go. In fact, we should just have all our album art should say TED Talk.
TED. Not even that. TEDx.
TEDx Talk Light. That's a good idea, by the way.
TEDx. I'm confident that I have people say, "Why don't you do a TED Talk?" Do they pay? No.
No.
Well, that's your answer.
But it's a TEDx. It's for the community.
Yeah, it's for somebody's making money. I don't mind doing something for a nonprofit or somebody's not making it. Somebody's starving to death like this show.
Right.
But if somebody's walking away with millions and creating this huge industry, they're not going to pay me. It's ridiculous. I'm confident it's fine. I'm confident their bemused smiles would disappear from their faces if they're thinking it's a TED Talk. The instant they learned I'm actually listening to two old white guys. Anyhow, in response to John's question a few episodes ago, whether I can still accommodate producers who wish to visit the Grand Canyon, unfortunately, I no longer have the apartment I had when I initially made the offer because I moved to Glacier National Park in 2018 to shoot problem grizzly bears with green bags and rubber bullets for the summer. When I returned to Grand Canyon a year ago, the Park Service put me up in a haunted old hospital room that has been converted into a very Spartan living quarters. I'm no longer able to help out.
That's too bad.
You can probably give us a tour.
Well, hey, I'd like to shoot some bean bags at some grizzlies. That sounds like a plum job.
Until the grizzlies go after you. The shows have been phenomenal recently, and I'm patiently awaiting the hovering Killary to finally swoop in and enter the ring of professional wrestling. Keep up the great deconstruction and know that your analysis is deeply appreciated miles into the inner canyon at some bunkhouse where there's no Wi-Fi, cable, or any radio reception. I request jobs karma for all, and China is asshole.
Sir Compost Ranger, always lovely to get a note from you.
China is asshole.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And that's the end of our list of associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1188. I want to thank each and every one of them for helping us.
And a reminder that the titles these executive producers and associate executive producers receive for their contribution to today's program gives them the actual credit of executive producer or associate executive producer of No Agenda Show 1188. You can display it proudly on your CV, your resume, your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn, by the way, is the only place you're going to get hired these days. I've learned now. All these job sites is bullcrap. You got to put stuff on your LinkedIn profile, fill that out. That's where people are finding jobs. I just happen to know this from some recent experience. This is the place to be. Add that to your list, and then let us know if it made a difference. It should. And we'll be thanking more people, $50 and above, in our second segment. And, of course, anyone can get one of these credits for themselves. All you have to do for our next show on the second Thursday of the week, also known as Sunday, is go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And remember, we are the ones who predict everything, like Hillary.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Oh my gosh! Can you see that juice?
Just fit it in there. Just got it in the hole.
Good shot.
Thanks.
So I want to play something and take a little side trip here and do a little something a little intellectual.
Oh, well, I
wanted to play.
I picked a bad day to kick drugs. Okay, let's try it.
This is there's a guy out there who's a very famous historian. He talks mostly about the Peloponnesian Wars and things like that. His name is Victor David Hansen.
Oh, I know
recently,
him. Yeah, I've seen him. He's
a
smart
very
guy.
Erudite character.
Yeah.
He did a book recently called The Case for Trump.
Oh, yeah, he's total pro-Trump.
He's a Trumper.
Yeah.
And he manages to get by in academia. I was looking at some stats recently. If you're in the social sciences or even the history department, the ratio of Democrats to Republicans is like 50-1.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so good that nobody cares. But he was on this show that the Stanford Hoover Institute does.
Right. Oh, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What exactly is the Hoover Institute? Who's behind it? What's their deal? Who's financing it?
Well, the Hoover Institute's been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it started off, I think, with an endowment from Hoover himself to Stanford, and it became this institute. And who's currently financing it is, I don't know, but I'm sure it's a bunch of right-wingers.
But it's a part of Stanford University.
Yes, it is.
So, but isn't that kind of
they load up with visiting professors
mm-hmm.
and people who are over there to write books while they're there and to have meetings here and again.
But this is Stanford, isn't that a liberal lefty?
Yes,
college.
The Hoover Institute. The way they see it, the Hoover Institute is like we're balanced.
Okay, it's like,
what do they have at Cal that's like that?
Okay, I hear you. Gotcha. Makes sense.
And so
we're
the Hoover
balanced.
Institute
We're balanced. Look at the Hoover Institute in the cage over there. We're balanced. Okay, got it.
He did a couple of historical analyses of World War II, and I thought that I picked a couple of clips up. There's 3 of them, and I want to play them probably this in the order. Let's start with Victor Hansen on Japan in World War II.
Japan was strange because, as I said, they were the most vicious. They killed 17 million people in China, and yet they lost 3 million, quite a lot. We burned down 40% of their urban through the B-29 incendiary raids, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but we never invaded their land as we had done Italy and Germany, so they had not seen a battle on their own turf. I know they'd been bombed, but when they unilaterally then surrendered, they never quite accepted that the American Marines or Army could get face-to-face with them, and they never came to deal with their past as they do today. And if you don't believe me, they just put their first big carrier. Did you see it? They just launched it. You know what the name of it was? The Kaga. You know what the Kaga was? It was the leading carrier at Pearl Harbor.
Huh. And this is recent, this speech he did?
This was a speech. It wasn't the interview. It's probably about 3 years old.
Oh, okay.
I ran into it. I thought it had good stuff that I'd never heard before.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
It's kind of rude.
That was the only reason for the clip. It's a piece of obscure information for trivia.
But hold on, it's kind of rude.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, how come where's Trump calling him out on this?
Well, I think it was during the Obama administration.
That explains it. Okay, got it.
Now let's talk about appeasement a little bit. This was good.
In 1933, the Oxford Debating Society, in a very famous debate, said, "For king and country I shall not fight." At the same time, they were already trying to violate the tenets of the Versailles Treaty in Germany. Mussolini was already planning to go into Ethiopia. The Japanese had been fighting for 2 years. So there was a sense of appeasement, which is a good word at that time, that you were ready to listen. Soft power, lead from behind, that's what it was. But it meant that they sacrificed their material advantages because the people in it were not willing to fight. In other words, they lost at turns because they were not willing to lose a few thousand soldiers so they wouldn't lose 60 million people in a war. And that translated on the battlefield as a Bf-109 was no better than a French fighter. A Mark III tank was no better or worse than a Char tank, but 5 missions for Bf-109 per day, 2 for a French fighter. French tanks ran out of gas, Germans did not.
So he was making the point that there was no German advantage insofar as armament was concerned. It was just enthusiasm. In fact, German.
Yeah, they were. You know, if there's one thing I can say about those Nazis, they had enthusiasm.
They were enthusiastic.
They were very enthusiastic about the mission. Yes. Yeah. Good point from the professor there. Mm-hmm.
Now, so again, this speech took place during the Obama administration. So this is his last little clip I thought was interesting. He's talking about the UK, and it's something we never consider. In fact, we don't even consider the fact that Russia is largely responsible for winning World War II.
Well, we do. You and I do.
You and I do, and a few people listen to the show do, and some other people that are sensible realize this. But a lot of people don't, and they don't care one way or the other. But this part about the UK is not discussed, and it's probably just as important as recognizing Russia for helping beat Hitler. And it's kind of more interesting because it's even more ignored.
Britain waged a brilliant war. It was the only country to fight the first day of the war and the last day of the war, September 1st to September 2nd. 6 years. No other country fought the entire war. No other country went to war, think of this, for the principle of an ally. We only went to war when they attacked us. Soviet Union only went to war when they attacked us. Germany attacked people. Italy attacked people. Japan, not Britain. They went for a war for principle. They were brilliantly led. They put 40% of their investment in land, in sea, air, and naval power. They avoided the Somme, the Verdun. They lost the fewest of all the major, 425, less than half what they had lost in World War I, and they fought a much more ambitious war in II. That being said, they mobilized, we think we mobilized, they mobilized to a degree that was unprecedented, more so in terms of per capita investment than the United States or Soviet Union, and they were flat broke when the war was over. And then unfortunately, because of the deprivation, they began to socialize their rails, their healthcare system, their transportation, their iron, their steel industries, their power. And lo and behold, within 10 years, the countries that were flattened, like Japan and Germany, were industrial powerhouses, turning out Mercedes and Hondas and Toyotas, and Britain's car industry, to take one example, was over with. So they had a very tragic, and they also gave up their empire, willingly so, but theirs was a tragic experience. And it makes me very mad when I hear Obama saying they're going to get back at the Q. They were the most admirable and idealistic of all the allies, and they fought way above what people thought they were capable. In every single category of munitions, except 1 year of planes, they outproduced the Third Reich that had all of occupied the EU of today under its power.
Huh. Well, of course it's true. I mean, even when we had our office in London, it was still in Shoreditch, which was being rebuilt as the hipster place to be, but there were still bombed out buildings there.
Yeah.
They took it hard. But you know what? They had an enthusiastic guy. They had Churchill.
They had a motivational speaker.
Yeah. Well, this is what's interesting is
Churchill.
Both countries had motivated, enthusiastic guys.
Yes, well, including Hitler.
Kids, if you're writing about World War II for a paper at school, you can just say Uncle Adam and Uncle John said, these were really enthusiastic guys.
Now, just a little World War II tidbit, which I feel bad about, because I'm watching a documentary, because KQED, PBS, our logo PBS station, has fallen prey to the History Channel's kind of programming ideas.
Huh.
And they have this series called Nazi Mega Weapons.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. What they have, like a mile-long cannon and stuff?
No, they were talking about the V1 in this case.
Oh, okay, all right. They're flying bombs.
And the V1 story on Nazi mega weapons is like riveting. It's very interesting, and I did not realize all these years, being a baby boomer, all these years that the V1 attacks on London, when they really started sending the V1s over there, they finally got the thing to work.
Yeah,
all took place after D-Day.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Huh. So I
always thought there was just something that was going on, and D-Day saved the day.
D-Day was, done. All right, we're good to go. Huh?
No. So when after D-Day was well underway, not just the day after, but well underway, that's when they did the attack on London with the V1s.
Wow.
So that was news to me. That's, I felt like an idiot.
They still dig one of those up from time to time here in Holland. They're draining some water. But they do that a lot, reclaiming some land, and all of a sudden there'll be a V1 will surface unexploded, of course. Stuff like that shows up all the time.
There was an interesting thing about this V1 that really got my attention. I'd like to see this machine. There was a little device they rolled out that was the size of like a V8 engine with a bunch of big pipes and weird stuff hooked to it, and it was some sort of a steam bomb. And they would hook this thing to the V1 would be strapped to this rocket launcher device so it would get it going.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing generated this little device. It was very small. It was moved by
wasn't that like a ramjet type deal they had going on there?
Yeah, but the ramjets are problematic because you can't make them actually do anything until they're going at high speeds.
Oh.
It was a ramjet, but they had to get it launched and into the air at high speeds to get it to start really working, and then it took off like the ramjet. It wasn't flew across the channel, but they had to launch it with something, and they didn't have like rocket launchers or any way to get it to go into any, and they wasn't going to use a spring or anything. They had this little device, and they showed it, and it was like it created a steam bomb. And they'd wrap it onto this. They'd latch it onto the back of the launching platform, and it would be hooked to the rocket. And then they clamp it down with a bunch of these levers, and then they turn it on. And it would generate this apparently like unbelievable amount of steam. And then they'd release it, and it would go push this rocket up. And if you see any launches of a V1, if you go look them up on YouTube, all that smoke and crap is actually the steam explosion. And then they roll the thing back and use it again. What was this thing?
Is there an equivalent for rockets for train foamers? I think you hit the nail on the head.
The more you know in the morning.
I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a glitch ain't one.
That's right, everybody. We're looking at glitches, bitches. That's right. Hit me now. Yes, there's been some glitches in the news that I'd like to highlight from time to time because sometimes they affect your life, which unless you're OTG and you're careful with what you rely on for your life, but sometimes it can be a really interesting thing and not necessarily a negative, such as the latest glitch in the Robinhood trading app.
So some tricky Robinhood users were able to get extra leverage on the trading app. They did this.
And by the way, this audio is what CNBC broadcast. I didn't have anything to do with that overmodulated crap.
Extra leverage on the trading app. They did this through margin trading, which is perfectly common, very legal. A lot of brokerage firms do that. So users are able to put down a small percentage of the trade, and then the brokerage firm acts as the lender. The glitch here, though, was that users overstated the amount of money that they had in their accounts to borrow and were able to sort of cheat the system here. So it was discovered on Reddit. You can think of this similar to a sort of video game hack where users were helping each other out and outlining a step-by-step process so other people could repeat this. They were calling it, like you said, infinite leverage or the infinite money cheat code. One trader was claiming on Reddit that he took a $1 million position with only $4,000 worth of deposits. Another claimed that he got 25 times leverage and $50,000 worth of buying power to buy some stock. So Robinhood acknowledging the glitch and that this happened, a spokesperson telling CNBC that they're aware of the isolated situations and are communicating directly with customers.
I kind of like this glitch. Which
you've known about it.
You can call it a glitch, or you could just say major boo-boo.
Bad code.
My goodness. So yeah, so somehow you were able to hack around in the app so that it gave you unlimited leverage. You could borrow as much as you needed for your trades. Oh my God.
I wonder how those trades were handled in the. After all is said and done, they have to.
I wonder if they wind them back. They might.
Profits.
They might wind them back. I don't know. But then they also have to wind back the one person I saw who posted something that they did a big leverage thing in their app and they were down $22,000. I'm like, I wonder if you get that back too, or only the profits go back.
Joke.
Yeah.
Well, probably don't get that back.
Yeah. Then this is one of my favorites. We go to Australia.
Now to the hardest part of the day, and it really is, if you ask some of the drivers out there, safely getting tens of thousands of people out of Flemington. Jade Vincent is on Ballarat Road. Jade, just absolute bumper-to-bumper bedlam over where you are.
Bedlam, absolutely right, Tony. Have a look at the cars. As you say, bumper-to-bumper here on Ballarat Road. These are mostly Uber drivers trying to get into Flemington Racecourse to pick people up who are desperately trying to get home, and this is all because of a major technical glitch with the Uber app today. So the pickup zones inside the racecourse have been shut down while Uber tries to work to fix the problem. Racegoers, tens of thousands of racegoers who were planning on using Uber to get home were told that they need to walk streets away from Flemington to book an Uber or find an alternative mode of transport. Uber did apologise for the inconvenience and released a statement saying, unfortunately, unfortunately, technical issues have meant that we are currently unable to connect all drivers and riders at the dedicated Uber zones.
Oh, brother. This is just the beginning.
Taxis aren't that much more expensive, or if they even are. And why don't you just jump in a cab and get out of there?
A lot cheaper in this case because of the glitch. They had so many people that they went into their overdrive, their surge pricing. Surge pricing. So it was like $30, which is twice as much as a cab. That's Australian dollar-a-doo, so nothing basically. Pennies they're driving for around there.
Very strange.
So just a few other things that are happening. Oh yeah, Google.
Well, I got a couple of things you want to. Let's do this. This is a little side thing. This is when Steve Hilton attacked Marie. You know about this?
Yeah, I was just going to do 2 more OTG things, but if you want to move away, that's cool.
Oh wait, off the grid. Well, if you're going to do off the grid, do more off the grid because I think I may have something.
Oh, good. Well, I just have 2 stories. One is Google apparently now finally killing off URLs. If you look at, not everyone has it, but a lot of people who are now getting search results, you just get the result with a link, and it doesn't give you the URL anymore. Which is...
Doesn't it still show up in the...
Variably. I've seen it twice, although I'm in the Netherlands, so I don't know what I'm hitting here. Twice it showed up where I didn't see them, and now I just, of course, when I'm talking about it, it does show them. But they're experimenting with it.
And it's been going on forever.
Yeah, a lot of people think... Well, I think it's a hijack, personally.
They want to do keyword.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're going for, keywords. And then this latest experiment, which I didn't realize was possible. I mean, it would take quite a bit to actually use this as a hack. But it turns out when you have these talking tubes or spy devices, as we like to call them, such as Amazon Alexa and the Google Home. Now, they use the MEMS microphones, which is a microphone array. What does MEMS stand for? Do you know what that is, John? MEMS?
Yeah, the micro electronic mechanism.
Something or other.
I don't have the exact term, but these are micro mechanical devices that are, for example, if you have a Kindle, that's a MEMS display. And so that's why it's so just semi-permanent when it comes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you're actually looking at little things that flip at microscopic levels.
Oh, well, that makes sense then.
MEMS are also used in modern, these crazy scales you can buy at Costco. They don't have anything that springs, no spring. It's you stand on the scale, and the MEMS that are on the 4 feet.
Oh,
or even,
okay, interesting.
They can do weights. They can do MEM technology, which is taken over mostly by the Europeans, has not been emphasized much in this country because we kind of fell behind in the technology. Most of the Europeans do it, and then it was taken over by the Japanese and the Chinese. So MEMS,
there's a pretty cool hack, and now I understand why the hack works, because it works with Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, Facebook Portal, and Apple Siri. What the hack is modulating a laser. Then in the demonstration, it's just like a laser pen. They modulated it with "OK Google, open the garage door," and they point the laser through a window onto the microphone of the demo I saw was Google Assistant. And the laser activates the MEMS, and then the garage. Google Home actually said, "Okay, opening the garage door." Not hearing anything, but activated by the light.
Wow!
How cool is that?
This is another for you writers out there looking for a storyline.
Can you imagine how much damage you could do if you can? You can control everything. Through or a lot of things.
I'd like to hear more about this because if the MEM microphone, which I've always wondered why I haven't seen more of these things, if it can be, they're pretty specific on how they work. And if it could be activated by a pulsating laser, I'm skeptical.
Well, they have a YouTube video of it. It's in the show notes at nashownotes.com. It looks legit. And in fact, they even use a telescope That's how far away they were to be able to see if they were focusing on the device itself, and it worked.
Well, I like the idea, but I'm skeptical.
Fantastic.
I'm very skeptical of this story.
Well, I thought it was very cool. And then I learned a little bit about because there's a lot of people here who I know who, I'm being sketchy, I know, who review stuff for search companies. And their job is to check to see if what someone said when they asked, okay, Google, whatever the question was, I guess there's a random selection, and these worker people who are, minimum wage are paid to make decisions if this is something did they get the right result from the search engine. And I've learned two important standards because I'm always interested in the guidelines. Well, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to be looking at? Well, we have two phrases that are embedded into our brain. One is EAT, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So if there's a search and the search is asking for some expertise or for instance, should I take the flu vaccine? Then they have to look at the answer based upon expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And you can only imagine that yes is always selected because, these people then go searching around for the answer and then they get what they think fits in the expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, or the EAT section. And the next thing is escalate anything that is your money or your life. So if they see something and you're asking for a certain thing about a bank transfer or anything that could, and this could come back to vaccines, I guess, immediately you have to escalate it. Your money or your life, that's an escalation, and everything else is EAT, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So it was interesting we have some terms to what they're doing.
You're getting this from some local guy that's a mole?
Yep.
For you?
Yep.
Good.
Same person who told me that the number one search during rush hour in the Netherlands, Google search, so someone's talking into their phone and these are old guys, we don't know anything else other than they sound old, in their car asking for porn with black women. I know. It's very disturbing to think about that. In the Netherlands.
That's in Holland.
Yes, and that is a common search term during rush hour. People talking to their phones, requesting this while they're in their car.
Well, wait a minute. They're talking to they want. Where's the porn going to show up? Or they're going to have just somebody
on the screen
breathing heavy?
No, if you're in the car, you just say to your phone, "Okay, Google, show some porn with black women."
Yeah, and then what?
Well, then it'll take you to a page, and it'll.
Aren't you driving?
Yeah, hello. Yes, I understand your surprise. Yes, they're driving when they ask these questions. Yes, I guess they just want to see it while they're driving, or maybe they're stuck in traffic. They're bored.
Brother.
It's Holland,
That's
man.
Terrible.
It's Holland. I just thought that's a great statistic.
Yeah, well, it's one of those trade secrets.
Yeah. I guess the point being that there's a lot of people who are marginally qualified making decisions about what is right for you to see or not. It's certainly not any smart algo. There's no algo running around doing it for you.
Huh. All right. Well, I'm looking for my off the grid thing. I got nothing.
Oh, great.
So we can go to listening to Steve Hilton attack.
No. Then I can do something else for you. Before we go, I do want to hear the Steve Hilton thing. I know you're all jitty about it.
I'm all jacked up about it.
But there's something else going on. Do you remember when we talked about Google's sidewalk project for Seattle? This is the project where you have a replicant and they build a whole profile about you and where you stop. And so they have, everyone thought it was creepy when we played it. They build
Do we still have the old clip?
Oh, I'm sure I have it somewhere. Yeah, let me see.
Let's play the old clip and creep people out again.
Okay, well, I don't know if I want to play the whole thing, but we'll play a little bit. Here we go.
Replica is made up of two parts.
A replica.
A replica activity table, a database representing all the trips and activities.
So this is the smart city, and it's not just in Seattle, but this particular older clip is about Seattle. And the smart city, this Google project, it has sensors and monitors everywhere, and the street lamps. I guess
they wanted to do this in Toronto, I believe.
Yes, Toronto is my next clip, but we start with the Seattle, and here's the creep they're going to bring on your life.
By people in an area, and Explorer, an easy-to-use interface for querying the data and creating maps and charts. First, let's look at how a replica activity table is created. We use cell phone location data covering a small percentage of the population to learn about travel patterns and create a travel behavior model. Woo! Basically, a set of rules that represent how a person makes choices on where, when, why, and how to travel. The location data is collected by third-party mobile apps with all identifying information, like names and phone numbers, removed.
Oh, sure.
Separately, we use aggregate census information and other sources to create what planners call a synthetic population. This is a virtual population that is statistically representative of the real population.
You remember all this?
Yeah, Sim City.
Exactly. So, creepy, obviously. And there's some talk in there about, oh, yeah, it'll just be anonymized data and we won't know anything. Don't worry about it.
Of course. Always that.
Big news out of Toronto, where they are planning in the late planning stages of exactly the same project, the Toronto Sidewalk project from Sidewalk Labs, which is 100% owned by Google. Here's the news.
Why did you decide to resign?
This is the privacy expert who was brought onto the project. Her name is Anne Kavukian, I think. And she quit. She stood up and quit the other day.
I was hired by Sidewalk Labs to embed privacy by design into all of the smart city operations. I developed privacy by design years ago. It's a framework of proactively embedding much needed privacy protective measures into the design of the smart city. Now, normally that would involve obtaining the positive consent of the residents of the city. But we know that's not possible here because the data will be collected automatically by sensors and other technologies. So the opportunity for consent doesn't exist. So what do we do about that? My comment was you must de-identify all the personally identifiable information at source, meaning at the time it's collected by the sensor, you de-identify it right then and there using very strong de-identification protocols that will resist re-identification attacks. That's essential. And Sidewalk Labs has committed to that. But recently, on Thursday at the meeting, they indicated to Waterfront Toronto that they want to create this new civic data trust, which is great. A number of bodies will participate and make decisions relating to the use of the data, but that they could only encourage the de-identification of data, not make it mandatory. And when I heard that, that's when I knew I had to resign. You can't.
The Civic Data Trust. This is how they're going to do it. As they say, well, we think it should be anonymized, but we feel it's important we put it into the Civic Data Trust, which is what all these cities want. These cities don't just want Google to have all the information. They want the information. So what I'm hearing this privacy lady saying is that I think it's really not even Google who's evil in this case. I think it's the city itself. And they want this data vault.
They get the opportunity, sure.
Yeah, get this data vault. So that's
we know about everything where they're walking. How do they identify somebody walking down the street?
Your phone. Your phone.
Well, how would they identify me?
Facial recognition. There's going to be all of it's going to be all over the place.
Oh, then you don't need the phone.
No, but phone is great. Oh yeah, I should mention the reviewers for the search engine. They also see what other apps you have on your phone, and their interface shows you where you are when you ask the question. It'll say car, living room, bedroom. They have a map of your house. Life is great. Get that shit out of your house. Get it out of your house now. Before you know it, it's all going to be in a civic data vault.
Nobody listens to you.
Of course not. They just think I'm the old white guy with the
You're a crackpot.
with the antique iPhone. What is that thing?
It's an antique iPhone.
What is that thing? Damn it. You crazy old coot. Hey, anything happen with Steve Hilton?
Yeah, he got on one of the Fox shows. It goes, the clip I have is of them cutting him off, but or at least cutting Marie off. But he's on the show with just some straightforward stuff. I thought it was just reasonable. But it's funny how, you can say something like, well, Hunter Biden, who has no experience in this industry, this and that, and he took a $50,000 a month board member. I mean, getting paid $50,000 a month to be on a board is ludicrous to begin with, unless they're throwing money away or some scheme.
I mean, I've never heard of those amounts at any board that I've ever interacted with.
I haven't either.
That's a huge
$50,000 a month. They're being on a board.
I mean, shares. They might get warrants, perhaps.
Yeah, well, there was none of that, and it was in a country in Ukraine where they speak Ukrainian. You don't speak Ukrainian. You know nothing about the business, but you're on the board somehow.
Right.
And this isn't apparently suspicious at all. It's proof of nothing.
Oh, nothing boiga.
So that's what Marie Harf says. She's on the
Marie Harf. She was the spokeshole for the State Department for a while.
Yes,
in
I
Obama.
believe so.
And she's also the Bandcamp girl, is she not?
I think maybe.
Oh, and this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
Yeah, I think that's her. That's Marie Harf.
I think that's her. Well, yes. Here we go. And this is just a casual conversation on one of the Fox shows, where they're all sitting around just yakking. And she takes great offense and laughs. You hear her laughing a lot in the background every time he makes some assertion.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found the whole thing to be offensive.
Let's use their term, which is resistance. Let's remember that about a year ago, someone wrote an anonymous op-ed saying that there's an organized resistance within the bureaucracy to President Trump. We are fighting against him. That person, on top of all these transcripts, their book is coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
These people in the bureaucracy hate President Trump. They can't believe he's the president. They've been working against him from day one. You combine that with the Democrats trying to overturn the election from day one, and that's what you have now. That's why we shouldn't take it seriously. And further, these people inside the bureaucracy, the other thing they're doing is protecting Joe Biden, because the only real corruption allegation here is against Joe Biden. He was in charge of Ukraine policy. He supervised billions of dollars of aid that went from the U.S. taxpayer to Ukraine. Much of that went to Burisma, a gas company that was paying his son. How much money did Joe Biden channel to his son's business? That's the corruption allegation. No one wants to explore that. These people are protecting against that. There's a further element of corruption that needs to be looked into. And again, something that Ukraine should investigate, which is John Kerry's corruption. He was Secretary of State at the time. He was also involved in channeling money to Ukraine. His former Chief of Staff was hired by Burisma soon after Hunter Biden went on the board. They hired John Kerry's former Chief of Staff while he was Secretary of State, paid him money from Burisma, could have come from the U.S. taxpayer. That money is circled back to Democratic senators who then write to the administration calling for more money to be sent to Burisma. All of that needs to be investigated. John Kerry's corruption.
There's no evidence that anything you
just that I've just laid out
worked
is
at
the evidence.
State Department
so
then.
You're covering up the corruption too if you defend it.
Are you
These
kidding
are
me?
facts. Billions of
Steve,
dollars
I'm on
went
this couch
to
with
Burisma.
you talking about the news. Please don't accuse me of covering something up.
You are,
I'm
because you're
telling
saying there's no evidence. I've just
Air, chief political anchor and anchor in.
What? They just cut him off right there? Boom, done?
Yeah, boom, done.
Yeah.
And that's what the thing is. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. How can you say there's no, I don't know what evidence they're looking for, but it just seems a little fishy that some guy's making $50,000 a month to attend a couple of board meetings of a company he knows nothing about. nobody thinks that's even worth looking at.
Well,
it's beyond me.
I'd like to see an analysis of what board members get paid. Now, I think I know the answer, but I think that would be an interesting analysis someone could do. But the State Department this is what I've come to learn, really, is such a machine. And the people inside the State Department, there must be tens of thousands of people who work inside that machine. And they have been there for several administrations, many of them. They really believe that they're the government. They do stuff. They do what they really kind of want to do. And that's
the deep state.
Yes, and this whole
notion,
little
spook agency that nobody knows. Well, how many people are in the spook agency? The State Department has a spook agency.
10,000 themselves. It's crazy.
The network, and nobody can tell you how many are in it because it's a big secret.
What's so puzzling is that they are telling through the media. Actually, the media is telling us this. I got to get some clips of this. Like, it's ridiculous, and why would you fire an ambassador? These are the people who are doing the great work. It's like, no, ambassadors are, political appointees. I mean, who's the ambassador to Japan? Isn't it still the Kennedy girl? Come on.
I think she's been kicked out.
Got her out.
Well, when Trump got in office, he said all the ambassadors, everybody has to quit.
Yeah.
And everybody quit pretty much, except for that one woman to Ukraine. Why didn't she quit? This is the story that she needs to be grilled about this.
Mm-hmm.
Why did she hang around? She just said, no, I'm staying. And they had to finally get her out of there. But why was she staying? What was she there to burn papers at the embassy? I mean, what was she staying there for? The whole thing makes no sense.
Brit Hume, who is the old coot there on Fox, I think he's pretty fair. He's balanced when he's not drinking. So
he's drinking.
It just looks like a guy who drinks. He was tweeting about Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. This is the guy that is going to sink Trump, apparently. And he said he was deeply troubled. This Vindman guy was deeply troubled by what he believed were President Donald Trump's attempts to subvert U.S. foreign policy. By firing the ambassador. The whole point that Brit Hume is making is the president doesn't subvert foreign policy. I think the Constitution actually states that he's the author of foreign policy.
Yeah, he is foreign policy.
And that is, want to talk about Constitution, which seems to be something people pick up a lot. The president determines the foreign policy. You have nothing to do with it. But they're telling the American people that Trump is nuts because he's firing these smarties who run the show. And he's subverting our foreign policy. Yeah, he's subverting their foreign policy for sure.
Yeah, but it's not their policy to have.
Exactly.
The State Department does not create foreign policy in the face of a president, for example, who might be a peacenik or wants to get us out of a war.
Right.
Which he promised to do. And so the public votes him in to get us out of these wars. And the State Department all of a sudden takes it upon itself to whoa, well, this is no good. We want to be in these wars. Who gives a shit what this president wants?
What's that guy doing? Stop mucking around in our business over here. Exactly.
I noticed one of the podcasts took the clip that you developed on Brennan on C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And used it with full credit to us, including a screenshot of our.
Oh, really?
Of our show art, which was nice the way they did it. They just mentioned us in
What, you mean
passing,
the Brennan, you're guilty thing?
No, the Brennan, no, not that at all. The Brennan, we're the deep state, and we're doing what we should do, and we're running the show.
Yeah, that was
and they included you complaining that the CIA is not supposed to have any domestic goings on.
Yes, there's this clip.
You'd have to agree that now the impeachment inquiry is underway, sparked by a complaint from someone within the intelligence community. It feeds the president's concern and often used term about a deep state. being there to take him out.
Thank God for the deep state.
That was actually McLaughlin, but then Brennan does chime in later. He's also former CIA chief. Yeah. Oh, well. Impeach! I thought the news of the day for me was, and not for the reasons people might think, was this Amy Robach thing that Project Veritas got a hold of about Epstein. This hot mic, although was it really a hot mic? I mean, did she not know there was a camera on her face? It looks like she was in kind of a camera receiving position.
Setup. I think the way I perceived it, it was kind of some explanation. It was definitely a hot mic, but I don't know that she knew it was on or that it was recording it.
Right, or that it would be used. Yes. But
who then snuck it out somehow. But I thought, was just having a casual conversation with one of her newer producers who was asking about this, and they were doing it back and forth. It would be nice if we had the other side of the conversation, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just one of those things that happens all the time in these studios. That's how they caught Trump coming out of the bus talking about grabbing by the pussy.
Right.
There's somebody in the control room. There's people that are in the engineers, the type of sound engineers that we have are not too far away from being, the microphone nerd. Mm-hmm. They're of a certain ilk that like to collect things.
Dude, the guy at MTV, Rick Kellman, who did audio, and I was always hanging out in the audio booth.
Did you say dude?
Yeah, I did. I duded you because an MTV story. Here comes an MTV dude story.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
MTV dude. And he had a whole collection of guests going to the bathroom. It was pretty funny. Because he'd mic him up. He'd mic him. He had everybody. He had passing wind. All kinds. It was disgusting. Not a lot of people. I don't know where it is. I wish I had it.
Stuff.
He had them labeled. He had them labeled and everything.
These sound guys love to collect outtakes too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All the outtakes.
Hear a lot of advertisements. I mean, that's where the thing. Besides, stop the hammering. Where did that come from?
Well, that was on set. I mean, there were.
But somebody recorded it and kept it, and they saved it, and it was a part of a collection. And so it was like Bill O'Reilly going nuts. We'll do it live. that clip was. Same thing. These guys are dangerous. These sound engineers.
Oh man, where's that O'Reilly clip? That is too funny.
Here guys in the control are not to be trusted.
Do it live.
There we go. Do it live. Damn it. Anyway, so they get this woman, and here's the thing that bothers me about the clip. She is angry, not because 3 years ago, she had all the goods on Epstein and maybe could have saved other women from abuse. No. She's angry because they wouldn't let her broadcast it.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying, there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
I had it all. I could have been a Pulitzer contender, damn it. I had it all. I had the award-winning journalism. I had the interviews. Very, 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 very disappointing.
I am not on your side on this.
Oh, you think that she means it differently?
No, she means exactly what she said, and I don't have a problem with that. That you don't get to that position, and especially in the network, without having that kind of an attitude, which was, I had the scoop. This is very common in journalism, and to think it's not is not. I'm not going to say it's naive, but it's not right. I had the scoop. They screwed me out of it. I wasn't going to pull, like, what's his name? The Sinatra kid,
Ronan,
that broke the story.
Ronan
Farrow. He went and quit his company. Goes to another company, and he found somebody to take the story all the way. He was a little more of the idealist. He wasn't going to put up with getting his scoops buried, so he went out and sold it. She doesn't have that. She didn't have that opportunity. She's too high up to do that. She's at the high levels of the network.
She is? I didn't know that.
She's not a slouch. No, she's big shot. And so she's irked about one thing and one thing only. She probably thinks about what you were thinking about. But her real concern is that, hey, I am here for the money.
Right.
And I got screwed out of a scoop that could have gotten me an award and more money.
Your thinking is proving my point. I appreciate it.
No, I'm not going to say I'm not proving. Your point is correct, but I think you're being adamant or being irked about it or being nasty to her, I think, is mistaken. This is what she does, and she does a great job of it. I think she's one of the best of these interviewers out there. And she'll eventually be really big. She's kind of I guess where's she from? Georgia or someplace. She moved around the country quite a bit. I looked into her background, but I've always liked her stuff. Well, and I can see why she's pissed. She's pissed 'cause she lost the scoop. Ooh, scoop is like a big deal.
Damn it. Well, she made a statement after the fact, of course. She was not let go or is not pursuing interests outside of the company or wants to be with her family. No. As a journalist, as the Epstein story continued to unfold last summer, I was caught in a private moment of frustration. I was upset that an important interview I had conducted with Virginia Roberts didn't air because we could not obtain sufficient corroborating evidence to meet ABC's editorial standards about her allegations. And this is what I thought was interesting. My comments about Prince Andrew and her allegation that she had seen Bill Clinton on Epstein's private island were in reference to what Virginia Roberts said in that interview in 2015. I was referencing her allegations. Someone made a phone call. Someone got a nasty phone call. Not what ABC News had verified through our reporting. The interview itself, while I was disappointed it didn't air, didn't meet our standards. In the years since, no one ever told me or the team to stop reporting on Jeffrey Epstein, and we have continued to aggressively pursue this important story. But wait, the best one is that ABC also released a statement. Remember, this was not good enough for ABC's standards. So they have a meeting.
Yeah, we'd see the memes that came out of that concept.
So
go on.
So we have a meeting. What are we going to do with this? I mean, we got this real problem. How do we bury this shit? What can we do? Oh, I know. Here. Write this down. Here comes the statement. Statement. At the time, not all of our reporting met our standards to air, but we have never stopped investigating the story. Ever since, we've had a team on this investigation and substantial resources dedicated to it. Let me think how I'm going to bury it. Oh, yeah, I know what to do. Here we go. Last sentence. This work has led to a 2-hour documentary and a 6-part podcast that will air in the new year. Bury that shit on a podcast. All right. I got it, boss. No problem. Yeah, there you go. Your important reporting. Hey, guess what? We got 2 pieces of news for you. Well, you're going to do the story. Oh, great. It's going to be a podcast. Oh. How do you think she feels now?
Well, she probably feels after that thing, they put a gun to her head. She might as well be in North Korea with a gun to her head, condemning America. So they put a gun to her head at ABC and tell her to write this. Well, I didn't mean this, I didn't mean that, and I only referenced Andrew because it was a name that came to mind or whatever that thing said. It was bull crap.
Yes,
she has to be more irked about that. She will be shopping her talents. No, I'm serious. I mean,
she has to. Yeah. Of course.
She's going to think to herself, and she's got a good gig at ABC. She's on GMA. She's got her own little show. She's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. They give her some plum interviews, and she's going to be irked about having to make those comments because she was caught off guard by
somebody.
Hilariously. Somebody in the control
an
room.
audio guy, obviously. It's always
probably
the audio.
a guy who asked her out or wanted to date her or something. I mean, she's
something like that.
Looks dateable.
Yeah.
And
she looks dateable. Show title.
She's very dateable.
She looks dateable.
And so the guy in the control, I'm thinking like a control room guy. The guy in the control room, he's, maybe love hates her, and who knows? But he's just decided to pull this thing out of the blue and drop it on the public somehow. Good work getting it out there without getting caught.
You gonna throw shade on me, girl? Okay, watch this. It's exactly how it goes, too.
I don't know. I've never heard any stories about her on the set. She might be not likable. Maybe she treats the crew poorly.
Well, she's your beat now. Since she might be dateable, I think she's your
might
beat.
Be dateable.
Might be dateable.
The crew member. Be dateable.
That's great. That's a great one. What do you think of her? She might be dateable. Yes. That's how we talk in the control room. Just so you know, we're doing the control room. This is not how Adam and John are. That is the control room talk right there. I kid you not. All right, this will take us into our break. Because it makes sense. I guess Jack Dorsey is not going to do interviews anymore, so everyone's desperate to get something about.
Good idea, Jack.
Get something about Twitter,
you idiot.
So PBS gets a hold of Ev Williams. Ev is not quite trained, the way Jack is. Ev Head, yes, Ev Head is.
Yeah, Ev Head's the guy who made. He's a billionaire.
I think he is
based on 2 lucky shots. He's the one who started Blogger.
Yeah, got bought.
And then he sold that to Google, and then he started, along with 4 other guys or 5 other guys, they started Twitter.
Well, that was Odeo, and then it became Twitter.
What? Yes, something like that.
Yeah, it was the podcast.
And then so they had this idea, and it kind of caught on. There were people that tried to compete with, nothing did. Pounce was a good example, and they never could. And somehow when they went public, he walked away with like $2 billion. The guy's loaded, but he's always been kind of a dweebish, kind of a prick. In my opinion,
I didn't get that impression. He might be.
I got it from because he was on Silicon Spin once.
He might be dateable.
He might be dateable.
So he was asked about how it really works and how the money's made. He was also pushing Medium, of course. That's his pet project, Medium. So he's trying to explain the difference. Well, he actually does a good job of the advertising model versus the subscription model. And I thought it was interesting, particularly the advertising part, because he really just lays out what is happening and why it's happening and why social media is such a mess.
The theory is that advertising, especially advertising online, is the selling of attention. Almost all content on the internet is paid for by advertising. And the way these systems have evolved is the most attention for the least dollars is what advertisers buy for the most part. And so if you apply that, if you want to pay for the creation of something with advertising, the formula becomes how little can I spend to get the most attention?
You make it clickbait. You make it cats dancing on a piano.
Yeah, and you make it goes back to yelling fire in the theater.
Right.
If you got paid for yelling fire in the theater, people would, and there are no consequences, you would do that. That, in many ways, is what the internet has become. And the algorithms and the advertising are all reinforcing this system where whatever gets the most attention wins, and as cheaply as you can create that most attention, that's what rewarded.
And I assume the flip side is that a subscription model means you got to produce something of value or people won't pay for it.
Something of value. Yeah, the subscription model is if we produce something good, you pay for it. It has to be valuable enough to the person receiving it to pay for it. If it's not, they stop paying. That's the whole basis. It's a much more direct, and it keeps us honest.
Yeah, thank you for explaining our model almost perfectly, Ev, except we don't force people to pay for something they don't know if it's valuable yet.
Well, there's also some disingenuousness about his comments about advertising in Medium. Medium really relies on the writers paying to be in Medium. That's the subscription, because you can get sent out a link to most Medium articles, and the link will work or won't work. Like, for example, I have something written on there, and I noticed I've never paid them a nickel, and so if I send a link out, some people who are part of the system can see the thing. Other people just won't even get it. But if you're like a full-time, all-in writer and you're paying money to be on there, your stuff can be distributed pretty widely.
So what you're saying? You're saying that the Medium is kind of a vanity press?
It's a big-time vanity press. Probably one step up from, and this guy is the kind of guy that can analyze this stuff because he thinks in social media terms. This is one step up from HuffPost, which is largely a vanity press, but you don't have to pay to be in HuffPost. You just have to have a name or something like that, and you submit articles to HuffPost, and then they run them as though that you're a writer there when you're not. Most people that you find their byline in HuffPost, they're writing for free.
Yes.
It's embarrassing as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Well,
and Medium is like the next generation of that. You're not only writing for free, you're paying to be published and distributed. So this is nonsense what he said about – I mean, what he said about advertisements is correct, but that's not the way his system works.
I don't like his system. I don't want to pay.
Of course not. Nobody wants to pay
to publish. No, we've come.
You're supposed to be paid. You're supposed to be paid.
Yeah, paid. You're
supposed to be paid. This is like the same thing. This all started, I believe, maybe I can blame it all on TED and TEDx. With these boneheads who go, yeah, okay. And there's some great horror stories about people who gave a speech there, and then they, besides not getting paid, you have to show up at cocktail parties, and you got to do all these things for the benefit of the people who pay $5,000 or whatever it is to sit through your speech and a few other speeches that can't be more than 18 minutes long, and you're going to be coached on how to deliver them, and you have to wear this headset, and you have to do this and that, and you're not getting paid. This is ludicrous.
This is the second time you brought up the TED thing. Is there something you want to talk about? Are you mad about?
No, I brought it up I didn't bring it up the first time. You did.
No, you said TED Talk.
Oh, okay. I brought it up, but I was triggered.
Exactly.
I was triggered.
Yeah, why are you triggered? You have a problem.
Because it's one of these things where somebody's making millions and millions of dollars, and people are giving their time away to help the guy make millions, and they're not getting paid a nickel.
It's not fair.
I just find this irksome.
Yes, I agree, and that's why we came up with the value for value model. It's simple. Did you get any value out of what we were just telling you about, the things we explored, the media we deconstructed? If you did, translate that into a number and send it to us.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
I'm sure I'd feel a lot differently if we were making millions and millions of dollars.
We'd be like, yeah, Ted's great. I'll go on that anytime.
I mean, to go to visit to see a TED Talk, you're paying more than any single donor has ever given this show in one shot, $5,000. I think the most, one time we got something like high threes once.
Yeah,
it's a room full of people that paid $5,000.
Yes, it's unevenly distributed.
And you're up there talking like a dancing monkey.
Yes,
for free. It's just beyond me. It's just beyond me. I'm flabbergasted. This goes on, but I admire Anderson for pulling it off.
Yeah, sure.
Chris.
Yes, of course.
He's a nice guy. I met him. I had dinner with him once.
Okay.
Stephanie,
okay, there it is. Now there's the rub. Okay, you had dinner with him once, and then something stuck.
No, I like the guy. It's just the model I never liked.
Okay,
yeah.
Hey, they never invited me, so they haven't even ever asked me. Have they ever asked you? Asked?
Not that I know of, but you just roundabout. No, I have been asked to do a TEDx talk.
Yeah, okay. Right.
That's gonna happen.
I haven't even gotten that request, so be a little more thankful.
Stephanie Chodel. starts us off at $85. And Steph writes.
Nice sound. This is from the New Jersey meetup.
This is a donation from. This is the New Jersey meeting, accumulated funds from the Jersey meetup.
Nice.
It's a small token of our appreciation. In fact, we have to figure out some mechanism so that everyone can, if they want to donate, there's some way of doing it. Please check your email for our support with photo. ITM, Stephanie, Wen, Gary, Jaron, Carolina, Edita.
I think so.
Colin and Will.
Yes. I did see the report. Thank you. I did see the photo. It was very nice. Make sure you put it on noagendameetups.com so other people can see it. There's a spot there you can put your meetup report somewhere.
Yeah, some people,
Yeah, people say they can't find it, but you can put it in you can edit it, your meetup, and then add stuff to it, I think.
Viscount Craig of Georgia, Craig Cutner in Atlanta, 69 would drop off quick on today's show.
Wow, yeah.
Celebrating a birthday for me. Because I can, and so he's on the list. Chuck Schultz in Anniston, Alabama, 69. He needs an F cancer karma. Can we do that at the end?
Sure can.
Jeffrey Sewell in San Jose, California, is newbie, 6878. Give him a D douching. That came in as a check, and I think it's the first one he's ever done.
You've been de-douched.
Francisco Tejeda, 5432. Michael Gates, 5280. Edward Posh in Omaha, Nebraska, 5151. Another birthday boy. With a birthday present to himself.
Oh.
Lady Butters in Tiverton, Rhode Island. My dad would have been 50 on 11/7. Why don't we put him on the list? He's not.
I don't know. Let me see. My dad would have been 50 on that would be today. In his honor, this is for the Dame Drive towards the two kick-ass ladies at the Boston meetup. And I have a meetup report in a moment. Karma requested for all the wicked, awesome people from that night, including my beloved Sir Knives, Lady Butters. Oh, very nice. So do I put him on the list? Dad Butters?
Yeah, Dad Butters.
Dad Butters on the list. And
would have been.
Dad Butters would have been 50 today. It's nice to celebrate him that way.
Jason Gay in North Glen, Colorado. Now, the following people are all $50 donors. We're that far already.
He needs to be deduced, he says. I was turned on to the show by my boy Stryker. That's a cool name.
That is a good name.
Hey, everybody, it's Stryker Gay. I'll be
Stryker Gay.
Yeah,
what a great name.
That's a great name.
This is a name for. This is a character name for all you writers out there.
No, this is a disc jockey name. Hey, everybody. And let's see. Do we have a?
Oh, it is. You're right. It's a good disc jockey name.
Hey, everybody, it's Stryker Gray with you. I like it.
You said Gray.
Oh, Gay. I'm sorry, it's Gay. I did it wrong. I was turned on to the show by my boy Stryker. And need to be de-douched.
You've been de-douched.
I'll be working my way towards knighthood as Jason, Sir Random Thoughts of the Rockies. Okay, love the show. You guys do great work. Thank you very much, Jason. Welcome to the community.
And onward, we have G. McDonald in Ottawa, Ontario. These are all $50 donors. Villarreal in Mercedes, Texas. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. Heather Rodriguez in Stockton, California. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee. Matthew Januszewski in Chicago, Illinois. Jason 694 EVA in Chatsford, Pennsylvania. I don't know ways you put that on there. I figured that's what he wants to be called now.
I guess.
And Jeffrey Zinneman in South Euclid, Ohio. Those are all the folks that helped us produce show 1188. Want to thank each and every one of them for their contributions.
Yes, and also the folks who came in under $50. And I see right here, people even will still say, I'd like to be anonymous, even though under 50 you are. That's guaranteed. We won't read under that $50 line. And the people who have subscriptions. You can find a lot of them to participate in. I forgot who it was. Someone said, hey, I just signed up for $4 a week. I'm like, that's fantastic. That helps a lot. If everyone did that, then we wouldn't have a donation segment. If everyone who listens was on a subscription service. And that would kind of suck, too, because I like the notes. But
we get a lot of the notes are a segment. It's a block.
But I like the notes. I just like all
I
notes.
like the notes. That's what I said. It's the segment.
It's a segment. It's content. It's content. You want to keep it in there.
It's content.
Thank you again. It is highly appreciated. It is the value for value system, and you let us know, and it's how we stay sharp, and it's the honest way to do it. We're not like those Ev heads, you know. We're not gonna pay you to listen, or pay Ev for you to listen. No, value for value. And if you want to learn more, go to
Dvorak.org/NA
as requested.
You've got karma.
November 7th, 2019, your Gitmo Lowlands birthday list. We see Sir Sander saying happy birthday to his twin daughters. Them's celebrated on November 5th. Edward Posh celebrated yesterday. Sir Ian Garling, his birthday is today. Viscount Craig will be celebrating on November 9th. And Sir #Null says happy birthday to his son, Sir Dragonheart. He will be 19 on November 11th. And finally, Dad Butters would have been 50 years old today. And we say happy birthday to everybody on behalf of the entire staff and management of the No Agenda Show.
Title changes, turn and face the slate. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
Sir Sander of Zaandam, known as Baron of the Alps, ups his ante today. And Sander, of course, has been with us for a long, long time, been a long supporter of the show. And we are very happy to bestow upon him the peerage title of Earl of the Swiss Alps. And thank you for your courage, Sir Sander. It is always highly appreciated. And thank you for sticking it out with us through all of these years. We have 1, 2, 3. Yes, 3 knights, 3 gents today, no dames, even though the dame drive is in full drive. Can we have a blade, please?
Here you go.
Theater of the mind. Dr. Fuji, Sammy Minkinen, Daniel DeGroff. Gentlemen, stepping up here on the podium right next to the lectern because all 3 of you are about to become Knights of the No Agenda Roundtable. You see our knights and dames sitting here awaiting your arrival. We have some goodies lined up for you at the table. But first, I'm very proud to pronounce the Sir DJ Fuji of Jersey City, Sir Sammy, and Sir Fusion Off. For you, gentlemen, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Karaoke and Cocktails, Boba and Stinky Tofu, Pog and Poi, Onion Rings and Ice Cream, Pepperoni Rolls and Pale Ales. We got Breast Milk and Pablum, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Bong Hits and Bourbon. And yes, no round table would be complete without the requisite mutton and mead. Please, gentlemen, all 3 of you go over to noagendanation.com/rings, and Eric the Shill will gladly take your info, which consists of a mailing address and your ring size, and he will get that off to you as soon as possible.
No Agenda Meetups.
It is just like a party. I was explaining our meetups to some people here, and they were like, wow, that sounds really cool. I said, well, we have them in Holland. They're like, really? So, yeah, we got one coming up the end of the month.
Tell them to go to noagendameetups.com.
Yes, well, that's what I always tell everybody. Here's a No Agenda Boston Meetup report. In the morning, Podfathers, this is the report for November 2nd, 2019. Leading up to the event itself were several last-minute changes, which thankfully, in the end, totally worked out. From one place that closed seasonally, the last-minute change to Union Oyster House changed one last time to Hennessy's, but it was on the same street. Long story short, both Union Oyster and Hennessy's are separated by this one store. On each side of this building, between them are 2 red 33s. Okay, picture attached. So huge thanks to Hennessy's for being such gracious last-minute hosts. They treated us great. We had stickless heads. Oh, that's violation of protocol. We had stickless heads of Adam and John, name tags, a guest book to sign, and a collections envelope where we collected $700+ from the Boston meetup. Overall, we had 22 participants for our inaugural meetup. Wow, 22. That's a great showing. That's a good one. Already, we have a follow-up meeting coming soon. Keep an eye out for that in what Bill Burr calls the nicest outer suburbs of Boston at Castle Island Brewery in Norwood in the coming months. Everyone had a great time and got along super well, and we were all looking forward to meeting up again and have even more of a fellow producers and No Agenda royalty join us. We had so many great people. It's impossible to say how great everyone was and how well everyone got along and how interesting each person there turns out to be. indeed. Sir Nathan Lee reporting on the No Agenda Boston meetup, November 2nd, Hennessy's. Thank you very much for that. And thank you, everybody, for having a good time. Yeah, I love hearing that. It's really fantastic. Just a couple of the meetups on the horizon for today. This evening, 7 o'clock in Myrtle Beach at the Sneaky Beagle. Orange County, this will be the second meetup there, the Revenge of the Meetup. That's at the Boss Cat Kitchen and Libation, starts at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow, the Nelson, BC meetup, 7 o'clock at Torchlight Brewing. Saturday, North Charleston, South Carolina at Rockabalik. Also on Saturday, Auburn, California, the Sierra Foothills. That'll be at 2 p.m. By the way, Charleston is 1 p.m. and the Sierra Foothills is 2 p.m. That will be at Moonraker Brewing. And Saturday as well, Southwest Ontario, Scandinavia, 7 o'clock, and that will be at the Refined Fool Brewing Company and Burgers from Burger Rebellion. That's a mouthful. And, of course, on Sunday, we will tell you all about the meetups for the next week. And please go and visit noagendameetups.com, find a meetup near you. If you can't find one, well, Lordy, go start one yourself. Yes. That is the administrative duties, exactly. So I think we do need to mention the 6-week cycle since it passed by. It's I don't know if it's on 6 weeks anymore, but another disgusting sting from the FBI. I mean, I read the affidavit. Once again, you read this stuff, and it's a 1-minute report, so I'll play it in a minute. But
it's always the same. It's like boilerplate now.
It is boilerplate. It's like some guy is found online saying something radical, like
put name here.
Yeah, put name here. I want to kill Jews. Okay, that's when you send someone to talk to him. In my mind, someone reported it. Someone reported it, and the guy, you see the guy's picture. He looks like like he may be not smart. But when someone's posting, I want to kill Jews, the obvious response is, hey, let's go talk to this guy, see what he's doing. Yeah, I want to blow him up. Let's go talk to this guy. No, not if you're the FBI. Hey, I'm going to play like I'm a chick, and I'm all into killing Jews. Let's see if we can get this guy crazy. And then we'll give him some fake bombs, and then we'll arrest him because that's much scarier.
Now to a terror arrest in Colorado. The FBI taking a 27-year-old into custody, accusing him of plotting to bomb a synagogue. The FBI saying he admitted planning the attack as part of what he called, quote, a racial holy war.
Hey, good morning to you, Robin. Temple Emmanuel is the second oldest synagogue here in Colorado, built in 1900, now at the center of a domestic terrorism plot. Authorities say a suspected white supremacist, 27-year-old Richard Holzer, caught the attention of the FBI after using multiple Facebook accounts to spread his hatred of Jews and his desire to blow up this synagogue. Now, on Friday, undercover agents say they provided the suspect with replica pipe bombs and dynamite. They were harmless, but the FBI says his intentions were real. Holzer is now in custody, charged with a hate crime, and could face 20 years in federal prison. As for this synagogue, they say nowadays they have to take security very seriously, and they are quite grateful that this was stopped before it went too far.
John, why are we the only people that bring this up time and time again? What is the FBI doing? Do they get more money? Do they get a bonus if they collar someone at a hate crime, which they facilitated? I don't understand. I just don't.
Well,
I don't
forget
understand.
It was terrorism. It's only recently become hate crimes because if you can do a hate crime based on a white supremacist, a Jew-hating white supremacist, unlike a white supremacist like Ben Shapiro, who is a Jew, somehow he's a white supremacist by the logic here.
Of course, yes.
But you have you switched over from terrorism to a white supremacist because white supremacist is associative. You think of Trump because he's accused of being one, or he's supported by them, or people, that are white supremacists like Trump. I don't know. But you want to make that change, and the FBI is involved in getting rid of Trump. So that's just part of the whole scheme.
So you think that's a part of it? It's just a little mind fuckery going on?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I think it's unfair. It's just unfair.
Well, the unfairness is ridiculous. Well, this is going to be – it's either going to be there's going to be something. It's going to be some dummy it's just going to be a dummy that they set
they're
up.
They're always dummies. They're always dummies, and they get them. They egg them on. Dummies. They egg them on, and instead of saying, "Hey, man, you are plotting to kill somebody. We got to stop this. And you got to bring you in and talk to you, and just talk to you. What the hell is going on?" No, we got to get. We got him to get the phony bombs. This will look great when we do the press announcement. It's disgusting. And you scare people at the same time. We could just take care of this quietly, get it done. The guy needs help, obviously, some kind of help. Maybe he needs to be taken off the street. There's rules about threatening, too. I mean, you can't just be going around saying to kill people. Can you?
Yeah, why don't they take him off for that?
Yeah, they can. I think they can.
Yeah, but they don't. They take it one step further and set him up to be a worse character.
Yeah. And while we're on the media,
I'm wondering, by the way, this has been going on since our show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if there's been some study or something, because I was watching a Dr. Phil, and they had with
your viewing is fabulous. Yes, okay.
Yeah, Mimi and I were watching a Dr. Phil for some reason. It was on, and it was interesting because there's this white kid who sounded like a black kid, and he's 16, 17, and he's got 5 felonies, and he's a punk. He's just a punk, and his mom lets him do everything, and his dad wants to beat the crap out of him, but the mom runs the roost. And Phil's going and talking to this kid who's got the head cocked, and he says, "I'm not afraid of prison. I'm a tough kid," and all the rest of it. And at some point, at least Mimi and I agree that I don't care. They can talk to themselves so they're blue in the face. This kid is just bad news, and he's going to do what he's going to do. And it's like there used to be a TV show called Crime Story where these guys made so much money in Chicago, they moved to Las Vegas and they could start all these businesses, start a casino, and they were all going to be legit. But then they went right back into crime because the one guy says to the other, "Why do we do this? Why we can be legit, but we're doing this?" The guy says, "Just because we're criminals."
Okay.
So I think maybe they just figured this guy's going to do something bad. I mean, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt with these people. The guy's a loose cannon. He's going to do this anyway. We might as well do it under controlled circumstances and get him off the street. I'm taking the side of the FBI.
Yes, very unpopular.
I know. That's why I took it.
So we have Trump in a quid pro quo, and the media doesn't seem to be interested, but an actual quid pro quo, and I can prove it right here. He didn't ask to make up dirt on Joe Biden, but it's a quid pro quo, and the quid was, "Hey guys, can you reverse your gas pipelines so you can take our liquid natural gas and then pump it through everyone else into Europe so that you're not reliant upon Russian gas? Can you guys do that? If you do, I'll put you in the visa waiver program."
So Poland is a country, great people. We have a lot of Polish Americans living in the United States. I've just signed, I will soon be signing and signed certain preliminary applications. We will be giving a full visa waiver to Poland. That means that people from Poland can easily travel there, and people from here can easily go back and forth. They can each. People from the U.S., people from Poland can very easily go back and forth between the United States and Poland. So they've been trying to get this for many, many decades. And I got it for the Polish people, in honor of the Polish people in the United States and in Poland. So we're very happy with that.
Yes, there's your pro quo.
Well, what are you going to do?
No, nothing. Well, I'm waiting for some fallout.
You must impeach.
I'm waiting for the fallout. I mean, that the Jews in Congress are unhappy with this move because they were thwarting it for decades.
About World War II.
Yeah, because they feel that the Poles killed the Jews in the concentration camps, and there's a lot of organized people who did not want this to happen. I haven't heard any fallout yet.
I don't think there will be. I think it's all a bluff. I do have it's probably one of the clips I have where I got this ISO from, but since you played Trump, I'm going to play this ISO, possible end of show ISO.
Okay, let me grab
Trump,
your
you can't
ISO.
let that happen.
You can't let that happen to me.
That's great. What was that from, his recent Mississippi, or where was that from?
No, it was after, I think it was the Kentucky speech.
Oh, I like it.
where he actually lost out. In fact, I have a rundown of all those things. But before we do that, I'd like to play something that's been irking me because it was like a forgotten part of the Obama administration when Robert Gates wrote his, the ex-Defense Department guy, and I think spook, wrote his book. Where in the book, and this was early on before all the candidacies became apparent, in the book he says that Biden, every foreign policy decision Biden ever made and as a vice president was wrong. Remember this?
No, but I believe it.
Yeah. So apparently on Face the Nation, that woman brought Gates on the show to grill him about this, and this is quite kind of an interesting clip.
Reading your memoir before we sat down to talk, and you said in your memoir, Joe Biden is impossible not to like. Quote, he's a man of integrity, incapable of hiding what he really thinks, and one of those rare people you could turn to for help in a personal crisis. Still, I think he's been wrong on nearly every major foreign policy and national security issue over the past 4 decades. Would he be an effective commander-in-chief?
I don't know. I think I stand by that statement. He and I agreed on some key issues in the Obama administration. We disagreed significantly on Afghanistan and some other issues. I think that the vice president had some issues with the military, so how he would get along with the senior military and what that relationship would be, I think it would depend on the personalities at the time.
Where was this? Where did he say this?
It's on Face the Nation.
Oh, okay.
Recent show. Yeah, so he still won't. He's not on board.
Why would he be? No. He's the Estat Deepest. That's where he is.
So let's play a couple of the impeachment talk clips.
I'm sorry. I thought you would want to end after 3 hours. You want to keep going?
Oh, are we done?
Well, it's 3 hours. And we still have end of show.
I didn't realize that
you were having a good time. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to. If you want, it's a podcast.
No, I don't want to drag it out, but I would like to at least get this. This can move. What day is today?
Today is Thursday,
Sunday.
the 7th. The 7th.
So Sunday's still fresh. So this will still be fresh.
It'll be fresh?
I believe so. I'm looking at these over, and yes, I see nothing that needs to be run except for the 13-year-old homicidal maniac clip maniac.
No, let's do the 13-year-old. No, I need a homicidal maniac to end this show.
What? That's not a way to end this show.
Yes, it's a perfect way to end this show.
Okay, go.
Okay, 13-year-old homicidal maniac.
We turn now to that urgent hunt tonight for a fugitive charged in 2 murders, and he is just 13. He escaped from a holding room after a court appearance, getting away barefoot and in leg restraints. Authorities tonight are now warning the public, and here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
North Carolina authorities tonight have helicopters in the air and police on the ground, all searching for the fugitive 13-year-old who, for now, they're only identifying as Jericho W. Even though he's a juvenile, they're taking the unusual step of releasing his booking photo after he escaped from the custody of state law enforcement officers Tuesday while returning from juvenile court in Lumberton. State officials say he was wearing leg restraints and no shoes when a guard opened a door and he ran. Police say he was being held on serious crimes, accused of 2 counts of first-degree murder and robbery with the danger.
Say what?
This guy's in leggings and he's barefoot and they open the door and he takes off and the fat guard couldn't chase him.
Now
he's hobbling down.
Are you fat shaming the guard here? This is.
Guard opened a door.
I'm fat shaming a guard. I don't know. He may not even be fat. Maybe he's too thin. He can't run. I don't know. I find this to be ludicrous.
You're generalizing the guard population now.
And he ran.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Police say
I beg forgiveness.
Being held on serious crimes, accused of 2 counts of first-degree murder and robbery with a dangerous weapon. They explain they have a high degree of concern for the safety of both the juvenile and the public due to a prior history of assaultive and unpredictable behavior. His family members say they've struggled with the boy for years and tonight are blaming authorities.
We don't know if he's going to return to us dead or alive. This is the county's fault, and they should have to pay for it.
Police are now warning residents who live in the search area that they may hear low-flying helicopters through this evening.
Oh, wow. So the kid's gone. He's feral.
Yeah, with leggings and bare feet, and he's on his way. This sounds like another candidate for the Dr. Phil show.
Well, I think it's just a sign of things to come. Feral humans are in our future. I'm pretty sure of that. Get used to them. They still have chains. That is our show for today. Extra long, double the flavor. And we love deconstructing for you. We'll do it again on Sunday. I will be back in the Opportunity Zone 33. Looking forward to be back with the keeper. I'm very lonely, and she is too. And coming to you from just off runway 27 here at Schiphol Airport in the Gitmo Nation lowlands, also known as Amsterdam, where you cannot buy weed with a credit card. That's against the law. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
What?
Yeah.
Well, from northern Silicon Valley, being stunned by that new fact, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It pays to listen all the way to the end of the show, people. Coming up next on NoAgendaStream.com, we got Hog Story 49. Enjoy that, and we return on Sunday. Remember us at Dvorak.org/ANA, and until then, adios, mofos, and such. Secret Agent Paul and Chris Wilson, end of show mixes.
When the street is long and the crowd gathers round, when you think you've had enough, 'cause you're white, hold on. Don't let yourself go. Everybody drives, and everybody hates sometimes.
Step right this way. Roll up with the shape-shifting Jews. Roll up, the magical shape-shifting Jews. Roll up, a little illustration. The magical shape-shifting Jews. Roll up, it's such an aggravation. The magical shape-shifting Jews.
If you're white, you're a racist. If you're male, you're a pig. If you're cis, you are privileged. Skin is shaming if you're big. And if you're straight, you're homophobic. Heaven help if you're wrong. So don't have an opinion and just do what you're told. There's a Starbucks hating on black guys. They tried to have a meeting, but had no intent to buy. There's a Starbucks, one of these black guys. He tried to use the bathroom, but they said he was denied. Oh well, they were asked to exit, but they both protested, so they got arrested.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
You can't let that happen to me.